This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon or good morning to you boys and girls from Point of View Elementary in Virginia. Welcome to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. Those are some plains zebra on the other side of the Mara River. We are here on the banks of the Mara River where a huge herd of zebra has crossed, and in the water, can you see them moving, are enormous crocodiles. There's been more than 200, maybe 300 zebra that have already crossed. This small herd is a little bit scared to cross over because there are giant crocodiles waiting. And well, it is one of those things that happens out here. And the zebra come, they want to cross the river for the green grass on the other side. So please send your questions through with your teacher. Let us know how you're doing, what you'd like to talk about this afternoon. Let's see how brave these zebras are. They're going to come down, and one by one they need to cross. It is a very dangerous journey for them to do it. There's a big crocodile on the left. Look at the size of it. It's very rocky. It's not very deep, but for some reason they just have to cross. The grass is very green on the other side. Sorry about the bush in the way there. We've already had over 1 million wildebeest crossing over the river. Not today, but over the last few months. And here we go. Let's see if we're going to get some brave zebra trying to cross. It's a very scary thing to do. Crocodiles are probably about 15, 16 feet long. Some of them more, weighing over 2,000 pounds. And they're like zebra already. Good afternoon. My name is Steve, and I'm joined on camera by Big James, and we are, as I said, we're in the Mara Triangle, and the temperature is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 28 degrees Celsius, about 84 degrees Fahrenheit. And over here, very sad, in the river, one of the zebra has fallen victim to the crocodile. We were watching it just moments before, and there's a lot of them there. And the zebra, well, it's pretty much gone. Mike, you want to know how fast a zebra can run? I reckon a zebra can run at a gallop at probably about maybe 40, maybe 35 miles an hour, somewhere around there, and they feed on grass. They don't feed on anything other than grass. They might feed on the odd leaf from time to time, but pretty much grass. And the poor zebra, unfortunately, was one of them out of the 200-300 was caught and drowned by these crocodiles, and they've made very short work of him. Crocodiles actually feed mainly on fish, but up here in Kenya, in the Mara, we get enormous amounts of wildebeest and zebra crossing this river every single year. So there we go, you can actually see a little bit of the zebra off to the right. Crocodile are probably going to fight over them. But I am not alone out on safari this afternoon. I have some friends all the way back down in South Africa.
Indeed, you are not alone, Steve. We are going to be joining you this afternoon and hopefully going to be showing lots of amazing things. Now, as Steve mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera I have got Sebastian, and well, we are on our way rather quickly and swiftly to a very special surprise all the way on the south kind of eastern end of the reserve. So we've got a little bit of a way to go, but hopefully it's going to be a good surprise for all of you and that you're going to enjoy what we're going to go and find. Now, I hope that you're going to ask lots and lots of questions this afternoon, because I'm looking forward to answering a lot of them. It's been a very, very cold day today, which is sometimes a good thing, because cold weather sometimes means that the animals are out and about and moving, particularly the cats that normally like to move at night. They like to come out during the course of the day, and they start to move around and they try and go and hunt and look for all kinds of food. So it's really a good time to be out and about and to hopefully find ourselves some cats. Now the other thing is that we had a bit of rain this morning, and it's the first rain of our kind of season as we go into the summer. It's very, very dry at the moment, and so the rain is really needed. And that bit of rain, what it does is it washes away the scent for a lot of the territorial animals. So things like a leopard or a lion or well, whatever, any animal that marks its territory, the rain sometimes washes away that scent, and so those animals will be out and about trying to mark their territory and try and kind of just make sure that everybody knows that they're still here after the rain. So we're going to hopefully find them somewhere out and about. Like I say, we've got a surprise, but it's quite far away, so that's why I'm rushing at the moment, trying to get all the way down onto the other side of the reserve. Now while I head off to the surprise, there is one other member of the team that you haven't met yet that would like to say good afternoon, and I think she's also heading to another kind of surprise for all of you.
I'm hoping I can find the surprise. Hello everybody, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig, and we are also driving around in the Sabi sand in South Africa, just like Tristan. Now we're heading onto one of the main roads now. You'll see there's big power lines, and the road's much wider than the one that we're driving around on at the moment, because there's something that I'm looking for, but I don't really know what it is. I've just been given a couple of clues. I've been told to try looking in a few places, so that's what we're going to go and do now, is we're going to see if we can, or how good am I at following all these clues. So that's what we're going to try and do now. So we're going to head down here. But now while you're out on safari, it's so important that you try and look for the animals too. So sometimes you're lucky and you get these clues as to where the animals are. Otherwise you have to try and follow their footprints, or sometimes you also have to look for them with your eyes. Right, we're going to keep scanning around here, and I'm going to send you back to Kenya, who Steve is of course still watching all those zebra.
Well, thank you and welcome back. Yes, well, one male zebra, he went back across the river to get his wife and his girlfriend, perhaps, I'm not sure, but it was very sweet. And he walked back across the river, gave them a bit of a nuzzling with his nose, and then turned around, and the two followed him back over. So, shame they were left on the other side. He was calling for them for some time, and now they're all together again as a small family. Because zebras are in families. There's normally one big male with a number of his girlfriends or brides, and then he has a few babies with them, and that's how they do it. Very cool to see. Hello CJ, you want to know what bird we see most often? Well, up here there are so many birds. There are 1,200 or so species of birds, and I'm now going to have to think. So many. I think the starlings are very, very busy. There's lots of swifts and lots of swallows. The birds we're seeing at the moment, a lot actually, are vultures, because up here in the Mara, with this time of year, there are so many animals in the area. So many animals are dying. It's just what happens when there's so many animals. More than 1.3 million wildebeest, 600,000 zebras. So animals are dying. So lots and lots and lots of vultures. We'll try and find you some. The vultures won't be down here by the river. This is where the crocodiles are, and over there, what have you got there, James? Oh, there is a hippo. A hippo minding his own business. He is a vegetarian, you see. He's not, or she is not in the water there to assist the crocodiles in eating of the meat. The crocodiles are the meat eaters, and the hippopotamus, a very big animal, lives in the water, spends the day in the water, and then comes out at night to feed on the grass, just like the zebra. CJ, well, you got it perfectly there. You wanted to know where the hippos live. Where you see that individual right there is where it spends most of its time in the daytime. Well, there's a really big crocodile coming. It spends most of the day in the water, and then when it gets a little bit cooler outside at night, then the animals come out to eat, and they eat grass. Well, the crocodiles are still busy eating this zebra. You can't see. We need to move back slightly. We've got a little bit of a roof in the way here. The crocodiles are, and there's a few vehicles with us here. Here we go. You can see this car has just gone and photobombed us, so we won't be able to see that crocodile for now, but I can move a little bit forward and I'm going to turn my car, but just bear in mind that what you're seeing is nature, and it is crocodiles doing what they do. There's a hole. I'm just moving slightly forward here, James. I think I'm clear of the hole. How's that, sir? Still a little bit of the roof in the way, I'm afraid. Well, there are the crocodiles. I'm going to just turn my vehicle a little bit to the side, so we're going to be able to see. A lot of people are here, want to be able to see this. This is an amazing spectacle that is seen here in Africa every single year. Is that better, James? Okay, well, crocodiles are not the only carnivores out in the African plains. Down in South Africa, Taylor McCurdy has found the best and my favorite.
Oh, just for you, Steve. Now, look at what we've got sitting on the fallen log. It is a leopard. How cool is that? Now, this leopard is a leopard that I have not seen for a very, very, very long time. And I think it is a leopard by the name of Shidulu. So she's a female leopard. She's a girl. And look how beautiful she is just sitting up there. But there are more leopards, which I'll hopefully show you in a little bit. But she's resting. She's eaten some breakfast. Actually, maybe even dinner. And now she's just catching her breath. Valerie, so the reason that leopard can also hunt, even though they're not as fast as cheetah, is because they hunt in different ways. So leopards will get really, really close to their prey, so it's called stalking, and then they jump up and pounce on their prey normally, like how a cat will go hunting when a cat catches birds and mice. So leopards will do the same thing, whereas a cheetah has to run as fast as it can out in the open, and then it tries to trip its prey. And once its prey tumbles in, it will quickly try and grab it. But the cheetah can't run very fast for a very long time, and neither can a leopard. So they all have to use different ways to try and, of course, catch their food. But they do pretty well. They're very, very good at, of course, catching food. They have a lot of practice. They've got to constantly keep practicing all the time because they're not actually that good at hunting. So every time maybe a leopard goes to try and catch something and tries to eat something, it might miss its dinner 5 or 6 times before it's lucky. So it's very difficult for them. It's not an easy life. Like, we can just go to the supermarket and buy all our food. Look at that big yawn. I wonder if she's going to get up. I think she might. That big yawn, see how she's stretching. It's normally a sign that she's going to, or that all the cats will wake up. But maybe not. No, we just thought we'd sit here because she was facing us. In a little bit we'll go and we'll drive all the way around and we'll have another look. Goodness gracious, you're very spoiled today. Tristan has finally arrived at his surprise and I hope that you're excited.
Indeed, we are very spoilt because we found 2 of my favorite leopards. So Taylor has a female leopard on her side and we've got Thandi and her little cub. So there's the little cub there, she's called Klalamba, and she's just trotting off. She's about almost a year old now, so she's getting bigger, and there's Mom in front. And it really is special to see these 2. It's been so long since we've seen the 2 together that it's really kind of one of those moments that we've been trying to find them for a long time. We've been seeing Mom, but no sign of the little one. The little one has been on her own kind of mission, and she's been doing all of her own little things, and so I'm hoping that we're going to get a really nice afternoon spending time with the 2 of them. The thing is that I think Mom might have found some food and is taking her little cub to some food, because what happened this morning is Taylor was actually found tracks for Mom moving in this area, and then she's gone from here back to where her cub was, fetched her cub, and she's now coming back to this section again, and that generally means that she might have found some food. So I'm hoping that they have a kill here somewhere, which is basically going to be an animal that they've managed to find and kill, and Thandi is going to then feed her little one. And it's very cool to see them because these are our most sort of dominant female leopard, and we've known this little cub from when she was about this big, when she was very, very small. That's how long we've been following her, and so we're very fortunate to be able to actually spend time with these two. Now the problem is that she's moving quite quickly. I think it's a little tricky for us. We're going to have to go through some quite thick bush to keep up with her, which hopefully means that we'll be able to keep up and we don't lose them in this thicket. But little Kalamba is full of the joys of life, as she normally is, because she's running around. I need to just get the car into a low range. Right, now while I try and follow these two and see where they take us and what they're going to be up to, let's send you back to Taylor and Shidulu.
Now Shidulu's just resting up on the log. You can see we changed position now. I'm hoping that she will look at us because she's got beautiful, beautiful eyes. She's a very, very pretty cat. Now she's just listening to all the birds talking in the background. They're not shouting at her just yet. But I don't think she's too worried. I think she's a little bit upset because there's another leopard that's actually stolen her dinner. He's very naughty, so I think at some point she's going to go and try and get it back from him, if she's going to be brave enough. And we'll have another look at the other leopard in a minute. His name is Hosanna. And he is a young boy. He's a big boy, though. He's very naughty for stealing her kill. Yes, hunter leopards love to stay at home, and this is their home now. Everywhere that we look is the leopard's home. We are in their space, so it's very important that we remember that. So they love it out here. They'll stay in trees, they'll stay on the ground. Sometimes you even see them crossing rivers. They'll pretty much go anywhere they need to go, but leopards are really, really good at climbing trees. So you often see lots of them hanging around in the trees. And then to try and keep away from the lions and the hyenas and things like that, they put their kills up in the trees too, which is amazing. So they're very, very strong cats. So even though lions can catch things like giraffe and big buffalo. Oh, beautiful yawning. So, yeah, she's getting ready to go now. Down she gets. Where are you going to go now, Shidulu? Now she has to be very careful because of Tundi, the leopard that Tristan has, figures out that she is here. She's going to be in a lot of trouble. She's not allowed to live here. This is not her home. See, she's looking into the distance. She's trying to see if she can see Hosanna. We will go to him just now. We won't be able to get very close to Hosanna. Right, and speaking of a leopard that's going to get cross with Shidulu, Tristan has got another view of Tundi.
Indeed, if Tundi gets any wind of Shidulu being here, she is going to get cross, because Tundi doesn't like other leopards in her territory, because it's dangerous for her little cub, Kalamba, to get anywhere near another leopard because she might get killed. And so what you'll find with Tundi is if she smells Shidulu, she might try and chase her away and try and keep her out of here. And the two of them have actually fought before. They've had a fight very close to where Taylor is now. Well, I suppose a little bit north of where Taylor is. They fought once before, and that road that Taylor's on is pretty much the divide between the two females' territory. So Shidulu on the one side and then Tundi on the other side. Look, the cub just chased a duiker. So the cub is trying to hunt an animal, but unfortunately the duiker, I think, was too quick. So Mom, you can see, is not interested. She knows that that food item has gotten away, but the little cub went running after another type of antelope, a very small antelope, and it went off into the distance. There cubs come, a cub again. So there we go. Come on, little one. How cool is this? This is going to be super cute. There we go. There's the two of them together. Look at that. Aren't they beautiful? They are very sweet. Now, our little one in front is very busy. She doesn't like to sit still at all. She's always moving around, and the way that they're walking means that they're going somewhere. She's not just standing still. She's on a real mission to get somewhere. There's a little cub even scent marking. Did you see that? She's just had a little wee up against the tree, which she's not supposed to do. Cubs are not supposed to mark territory like that at this age. they are supposed to just pee on the ground, not spray on the tree. That's what her mom is supposed to do, not her, but that's her being a little cheeky, and she is a little rebel, and so, you know, we do see her doing these kind of things. Now I just want to quickly shoot forward because there's a nice pathway coming up that we should be able to see them. Lydia, what do leopards like to eat best? Well, they like any small to medium-sized antelope, as well as anything like birds, rodents, even things like snakes. They'll eat insects. So here we go. They should come nicely right in front of us. There's the two of them coming straight towards us. Isn't this special? Now, a leopard is a really difficult animal to sometimes see, and so we are so lucky here in the Sabi Sands that we get to see these guys all the time. We get to see lots and lots of sightings of them, and we get them as relaxed as this, where they kind of walk right past our car and they don't worry too much. So this is very special. And on International World Animal Day, this is the best animal for me to spend time with. I love leopards and they're my favorite animal, so the more time I can spend with them, the happier I am. And if it's a World Animal Day, well, this is my favorite, and so I'm getting to spend World Animal Day with my favorite animal. Which reminds me, thank you to you guys for sending through pictures. I had a quick look through some of them, and I saw some of you did draw a leopard, and so well done to all of you. The pictures were very, very good, so we appreciate that you did send some pictures through, and hopefully you will enjoy the day with us. Right, now we're going to try and catch up with them before they disappear, because this area is very difficult to get through, and so while I do that, I'm going to send you across to Steve, who's still on the banks of the river with the crocodiles.
Yes, I am so excited for Tristan. He has found a leopard with her young one that I haven't seen in so long. Anyway, well done, Tristan, on finding Tundi and Kalamba. We have moved a little bit further down the river to some crocodiles that are pretty much just relaxing on the bank. They are enormous reptiles, and essentially they need the sunshine to make them operate. Not like us. You know, when you're feeling a little bit slow and a little bit low in energy, you eat. Crocodiles don't need to eat to get energy, they need the sunshine. So these guys are lying on the bank, basking in the sun, enjoying the sun on their backs, and as they start to get quite warm, you can see they open their mouths like that, and the wind blowing over the mouths actually cools them down like an air conditioner. And then when they get too hot, well, then they'll go back into the water. So we are still on the Mara River. This is the lifeblood of the Masai Mara. The water is always here, and the crocodiles are always here, and they are very, very big. Some of the biggest crocodiles in Africa. That is because of the wildebeest and zebra that cross here every single year. And what these individuals are doing, they're waiting right over here, because a little bit further over here by the rocks is another crossing that these animals like to go over. So the crocodiles are basically just very, very patient and waiting. And as I said, they don't need to eat for energy. They can go for an entire year without eating. Can you imagine going for an entire year? I can't imagine going for an entire day without eating. I get very hungry. Anyway, these crocodiles, they are waiting for some more animals to possibly come down to the water, and then they'll get very excited, just like the crocodiles we saw a little bit further up the river. But very nice to see. I wonder if any of you boys and girls, I know Tristan asked you your favorite animals, if any of you are going to say that the crocodile is your favorite animal. I don't know many people who think the crocodile is their favorite animal, but there might be someone out there. They are very, very old animals, and they can live for over 100 years, and that is a big one in the middle there, very big one, getting over 2,000 pounds. For the whole class, you want to know the difference between crocodiles and alligators? Well, with crocodiles, if we go back to that big crocodile there, please, James, if you don't mind, the big crocodile that we looked at on the bank, crocodiles don't really show their teeth when they close their mouth. You can just see that one tooth just to the right, that one with the mouth closed. You can just see a couple teeth sticking out, whereas alligators, they're basically their whole mouth you can see around their jaws. You can see all the teeth sticking out. Their noses are a little bit more flat, and sometimes they can get a little bit longer, but they are pretty much the same animal. But crocodiles have evolved in Africa, and some of them in Australia, where alligators you find sort of in the tropics in North America, I think around Florida and places like that. But they have a very similar sort of role in the environment. They all feed on fish for the most part. But here, because you get a huge number of mammals moving through the river, they will feed on meat, at least during that period of time, every single year. Okay, well, these crocodiles are not doing anything, and Taylor McCurdy is with my favorite leopard. Let's go and see what he's doing.
Now, remember I said to you that there was another leopard, and he was up in the tree, and he also has got dinner. So you can see there's an impala, which is a type of antelope, but that's all the way up in the tree. So that's how they keep their food nice and safe from hyenas down on the floor. Now, Hosanna was very rude, though, because he didn't kill that impala. He didn't even catch his own breakfast. Shidulu did. That was the leopard we were just looking at. But because Hosanna's bigger and stronger, he chased her away. But she's quite a big girl, too, and she's a little bit older than Hosanna, so maybe she won't be very happy, and she'll get upset with him and maybe chase him up in the tree and fight with him to try and get her kill back. But we'll see. Or maybe Hosanna's just going to be nice and we'll let her eat it. We'll have to see, because he is young, so he might end up doing that. But he likes to eat. He's very greedy, so I don't think he likes to share very much. He wants to eat everything for himself. But fast asleep now. Look at him. Don't you think it's amazing how he hasn't fallen out of that tree yet? Connell, I think you might be a little bit confused with the cheetah. The cheetah are the ones that really use their tails to help them turn when they're running. It's not to help them turn, it's like to help them balance very well, because cheetah run incredibly fast. So leopards also use their tails for balance, but you'll find that they'll end up using their tails in the trees for balance a little bit more than when they're running. Remember, they don't run anywhere near as quickly as a cheetah, but tails are super important. But there he is, just up there. He almost falls out the tree often, though. He's not very good at staying up in them. You must watch how funny he is when he starts to climb down the tree. That's the best. Look, he looks like he's going to fall out again. Maybe he's going to come down now, I'm not so sure. But we'll just keep watching him and see what he does. If he's going to climb back down. He's looking. See, Shidulu, you won't be able to see her, but she's not at the tree just yet. She's sitting a little way away. But I think he's comfortable like that now. He must be very full. Looks like a lot of that impala was eaten, and I think he's got a very big belly at the moment. Look, he looks very uncomfortable. He's not sure what he's going to do just yet. So the leopards you saw with Tristan, you saw Tundi, the mom of the cub. So and this is, or Hosanna is Tundi's brother. Can you believe that? They both have the same moms. Sort of. They sort of almost. Well, yeah, they've got the same moms. They don't have the same dads, though. Hosanna, what are you doing? He is a very funny leopard. He's like a clown. He keeps us entertained all the time. Mrs. Darwin, I suppose the usual number of cubs that a leopard can have is about 2 normally. However, they can have up to about 4. I'm sure there's the odd case of a couple more, but that's not very common. So 2 or 3 is the norm. Sometimes even just 1 cub. Lions can have up to 6 little cubs, which is quite a few to have to look after. But luckily, when lions, obviously, they live together, they live in a pride, so there's lots of lions to help look after the little ones, where it's a bit more tough for mom. So sometimes I think she wants to have more than 1 cub. Otherwise, she gets quite tired of having to play and look after that little one all the time. So, yeah. But we can't go in there, unfortunately. We're stuck here because we can't drive in this spot. So he's not in an area where we can go and follow. So we've kind of got a view all the way from over here, which is quite far away. And he's just sitting there. Wonderful. Right, I'm going to send you back to Kenya to see what Steve is doing. I don't think he's found anything just yet. He's driving through all that grass and all the other animals.
Yes, well, we're just moving to the position we were last at because someone we're driving past, they've called us in. I'm not quite sure exactly why. I think it's basically just to see this very fat crocodile that we saw before. But our plans were we were going to move off to, there's a really big area further around the corner that had a lot of rainfall, and then they put fire through that area, and that area has got lots and lots of wildebeest. So we want to go show you where the wildebeest are and exactly why the zebra will go through such a crazy sort of challenge of trying to cross a river with all of these crocodiles. There must be a reason why you want to cross the river. Otherwise, I mean, look at all of them. That is absolutely crazy. So we'll go and show you why. And across, and that's also an area where sometimes we find a cheetah, and we've been looking the last 4 days for a cheetah, but we haven't been lucky yet. But you never know, today might be the day. But on a good note, James, in the distance we've got a beautiful giraffe. Look at that in front of our car. We've already seen the crocodiles, which are really, really big reptiles, but they're in front of us, far in the distance. We have got a really big giraffe as James tries to get it in frame. Mr. D, you want to know the oldest crocodile I've ever come across? Well, I think they get up to about 100 years of age. I'm not sure if they get older than that, maybe 110. That's pretty good sort of age for a reptile. They don't age. Oh, there we go. There's a car on the other side. That is the Mara itself. And there's a really big male giraffe. A very, very long neck. Lots of people come from all over the world to see the marvelously large, tall giraffe, and look at the size of him compared to the zebra. The zebra is a little bit smaller than your average horse, but it's much closer than that giraffe is. Look how big it is. A Malachi giraffe can get up to about 17, 18 feet, which is enormous, don't you think? I mean, most men are only about 6, maybe 6.5 feet. So imagine 18, add another 14 odd feet onto the top of that. And well, they are really, really specialized. And obviously with that very long neck, they don't feed on the grass like the zebra do. They stick their heads into the trees and they feed on the leaves. And no one can reach as high as a giraffe can reach. So they don't have to go through the crazy activities of having to cross these rivers, because that's only for the zebra and the wildebeest that are competing for all of the grass that is moving around because of the rain. Well, it seems like Tristan has managed to find Thandi and Tlalamba again, so let's go and see them.
Indeed, and as we suspected, they have themselves a meal. So Mom has caught a little duiker, which is a small antelope, and she stashed it in this little grassy thicket, and she's walked her little cub all the way here, and the cub is now feeding. Look at how hungry it is. It's just eating as much as it can, and this is very, very typical from a leopard. A leopard will always start feeding from the back, so that's the tail where it's feeding at the moment. It likes to eat those soft little back ends of the leg and then eat its way forward. Now, this is also typical behavior from Thandi. So you saw Hosana up in the tree and Tshuludulu in that area, and they generally will put their kills up in a tree. But Thandi, she likes to keep her kill down on the ground. She doesn't really often put them up in the tree unless it's a very big kill. A kill of this size, she tries to kind of keep down on the ground for as long as possible. And then once it starts to get dark, you might see her drag it towards a big tree and then put it up there for the night, because she knows hyenas are going to start coming out as the night progresses. So she often does this, and especially when she's going to go fetch the cub, she'll just hide it in a little thicket and kind of move off. Now, where Mom is, I'm not quite sure. She's somewhere in this little area. I think she's probably lying maybe close by in the little grassy thicket that is around here. I wouldn't be surprised if she is. And it's interesting to see how the leopards move around. I was saying earlier when we started our drive that the leopards will be quite active, or cats will be quite active this afternoon because of the cold, overcast conditions, and that means that they probably were hunting during the course of today. With the rain that we had this morning, I think a lot of our leopards were trying to find food during that time, and it's super exciting when we get to find them like this because, well, we get to see them a little bit better because they slow down. Thandi and Tlalamba were moving quite fast, and it was going to be very tricky to keep up with them, but luckily we managed to kind of keep up through the thickets and been rewarded to find them on their kill. And so they'll probably spend the day here, to obviously the night as well, and then tomorrow morning I think they'll still be feeding on this. This should be enough for both of them to stick around through the night, and then tomorrow morning they'll still be here, and they'll probably finish during the day tomorrow and then leave and go and find more food. The mom's work is never done for this little cub because as she's growing and getting bigger, so she needs more and more food, as well as mom needs to feed herself as well. So CJ, both mom and cub has white on the end of her tail, and the reason why they have the white on the ends of their tail is to be able to see one another when they're walking through these thickets. A leopard spends most of its time in quite thick areas, and that means that there's often a lot of shade and it's quite dark and dingy, and so white really is easy to see in a dark space. It makes it much easier for the kind of mom or the cub to see each other, and so that's why they have white at the end of their tail, is basically to be able to follow one another through these thickets, and so that they don't get lost when they're moving. They can then see each other and know what's going on. And most of the animals out here, whether it be a leopard or a lion or an antelope, they will kind of be able to, you know, figure out exactly where they can go and follow one another as they go through. Now you'll see that unfortunately she's going to eat quite a bit. I wonder where mom is. Let's try and see if we can just see where mom is and see what she's doing, because mom will probably be just lying down sleeping a little bit, and I know it can be a little bit difficult to watch a leopard eat its kill, so I'm just going to try and see if I can find where mom is lying. Oh, there's mom. I can see mom now, so we'll just watch mom rather for a little bit so that we don't have to watch the little one feeding. So there is mom in the background. Seb, have you got a good angle there? There we go. So mom will just sit in the background and she'll just slowly watch and make sure that her cub is safe. She'll be protecting her from things like hyenas. So when hyenas are around, they'll try and scavenge and they'll try and steal the food. And so mom will just be the watchful eye that will look around, make sure that her cub is safe while it feeds, because when the cub is feeding, it's making noise and it can't really see what's going on. And so mom just checks. Her ears will be kind of alert, thinking about what's going on, and she will be able to then basically think of all the things that could potentially harm her cub and then warn her cub before it happens. Also, if something does start coming this way, she can maybe grab the kill and she can put it up into a tree out of the way of things like hyenas. But she is a very beautiful female. She's my favorite female leopard that we see out here. I love spending time with this female. She can be a bit grumpy, but I like seeing her a lot. And you'll see with her ears are a little bit kind of tatty. You see she's got little cuts on her ears there, and her ears have these sort of little V's and a bit of holes on them, and that's all because she's much older. So Shadulu that you saw earlier that Taylor had, well, she's a much younger female. She's about 4.5, whereas Thandi, she's about 12 years old. So she's right on the other side of her life, and Thandi will probably in all likelihood only have one more cub in her life. She probably will get, after this cub, have one more set, and then she probably won't produce any more after that. So she's been an incredibly good mother and has done some amazing kind of work through her life. She's raised a litter of cubs. Every single litter she's had, she's raised a cub out of them. So she's done very, very, very well. She's a special cat, and she's part of a very special line of leopards that we get in this area that have provided a lot of entertainment to a lot and lot of people, and are all very special cats. So her mom was very famous. Her mom was called Karula and spent a lot of time in this area and really became one of those well-known leopards, probably one of the most well-known leopards in the world actually. And then this is the same lineage, which is very good. Right, while mom takes a bit of a break and has a bit of a rest, let's send you back across to Steve, who's still bumbling along the Mara River and trying to see what other little secrets he can find.
We've left the river. We just heard some information that we're going to go around the corner, and someone said they saw some lions tried to catch, or were busy catching, some wildebeest. So we're going to go and see if we can find them. It's the same river, the same sort of animals, same area, just a little bit further on. But my only concern is that there is rain in front of us there. You can probably just see it in the middle of the picture. It's falling just like that. So we might get a little bit wet, but that's okay. We are waterproof. So we promise you some wildebeest. We're going to get some wildebeest. We might even get some lions at the same time, which would be very, very cool. Such a lovely smell. I know it's been raining down in South Africa all day. It takes all the dust away. We have little bits of rain here from time to time in different places, and the smell is so fresh. Don't you just love the smell of rain, the freshness? Oh, I love it. Hello, Ellie. You want to know what kind of plants elephants eat? Well, elephants like as much tasty grass and trees as they can get. Here up in the Masai Mara, they eat lots of grass, just like the wildebeest and zebra. But then they can also go into, you can see this big tree line in front of me here. That is the tree line along the Mara River. They also go into there to feed on the leaves of the trees. They've also got those long tusks. With those tusks, they can rip the bark, pull it off, and they like to eat the bark of the trees. And down in South Africa we see it a lot, where they actually push the trees over and they eat the roots. So it all depends on the time of year and what they're looking for. But the elephants can eat everything. They can eat the grass, they can eat the leaves of the trees, they can eat the bark of the trees and the roots. They can also eat the fruits as well. So they are very, very sort of all over the place, and because they're so big, well, they can push it over and really do whatever they want. And they have the ability to change the landscape. A lot of what's happened up in the Mara, you can see, as far as the eye can see, is not that much trees. And elephants would have had a big impact on that for a long time. They would have actually killed and removed a lot of trees from the area. When you look down in South Africa, there's lots of trees down there, but up here, not as many. So the elephants have eaten on lots of trees up here. But now, when there's lots of rain and the grass is green, well, that is their favorite type of food. But with the trees, in the bark and the roots, there's lots of medicine. So elephants are very, very clever when they're feeling maybe their tummy's a bit sore, or they're having a bit of a sore stomach, or any sort of cough or whatever might be going on. The elephants know, well, this tree over here, I can go and rip the bark there and eat that and chew that, and well, that'll sort out all of my problems. It's just like having their own pharmacy in the bush. They're very, very smart, and the youngsters follow the mums around, and the mums teach them, okay, well, this tree here and this tree here, this is good for that and this is good for that, and then over time they learn. Okay, well, I'm going to stop just up here in a second and to show you the vastness of this place and all of the wildebeest. It is absolutely breathtaking. Now, pay very close attention as James is going to pan the camera across, and in the distance you can see there's a mountain range, but all of those dark spots all the way as far as the eye can see are wildebeest. You can see there's not too many trees out there. There's a couple, a few vehicles. Look at all of that. There are thousands and thousands of them. There's zebras in there as well, and these areas got lots and lots of good grass, and so that is why these animals take the risk to cross the river where there are huge amounts of crocodiles. I counted at that last place 37 giants just waiting there. But have a look, even if one or two wildebeest go at each time, there are still so many. All the wildebeest with their babies busy feeding. Okay, well, we are going to get a bit closer to the scene of what we think might be lions chasing some wildebeest, but in the meantime, back down to South Africa with Taylor, who's on a bumble.
We are on a bumble. We can't find any more animals. So, oh, baboons. Hang on. So we left the leopards because they were very far away off of the road. We couldn't see them very nicely, but look at those guys there in the tree. There we go. That's so cool. I wondered, I heard a sound, and then I just saw them in the distance. Now they're eating the fruit off of a tree called a jackalberry tree, and it's one of the few trees that have got fruit on them at the moment. And as you see, there's really not much around at the moment. It's very dry. So I think that's why they were fighting, is because they were all fighting over who was going to get all the berries. And the bigger baboons, of course, are much stronger than the smaller ones, and they often push them around and bully them a little bit. So they'll be very, very happy. You can see all those little round things hanging from that tree. Those are all the jackalberry fruits. And we can eat them too. They're very nice. They're yellow when they're ripe. They're very delicious. But I think the baboons need them more than I do. But when I do find them on the floor, I'll often try and grab one or two. I'm too scared to climb those trees. It's very, very high up there, and I'm not as good as climbing. Well, I can't climb as well, sorry, as these baboons. Look at that. Not even holding on with its hands. That's amazing that it's able to do that. But it's been a lot of fun having you all join us today, so thank you to all the kids from Point of View that participated in today's school drive. I hope that you enjoyed it and learned a lot. But from all of us here on SafariLive, we'll wish you well. And remember to do all your homework and listen to your teachers and your mom and dad. Right, I'm going to send you, I think, back to Tristan now for the rest of the safari.
Yes, indeed. This is the rest of the safari, and the school's got absolutely spoilt this afternoon with 4 different leopards. Not every single day that we get to see that many leopards in one afternoon, so very, very, very special. Now, it is a warm welcome to all of you that are joining us for this afternoon safari, and if it is your first time, well, welcome aboard the largest safari vehicle in the world in terms of people that are on it on a daily basis, and it is an incredible pleasure to take you around for the afternoon. Remember that you can get hold of us and ask any questions or have any comments, and you can do all of that on #SafariLive on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat. And just remember, keep all your questions relevant to what you're seeing on the screens, and hopefully we'll be able to answer as many as you have. Now, what an epic sighting we have of Thandi and Tlalamba. It's been so long since I've seen this little one, and she's grown once again. She's getting bigger by the day. Still very, very dainty and very, very small in comparison to, Thandi, and still has a lot of growing up to do, but she really is quite a funny leopard. I've thoroughly laughed at her during the course of this afternoon, because when we first got here with her, you could see that there was this visible excitement. She was twitching in ways you cannot imagine. She was running around like an absolute hooligan. I think she knew full well where she was going and that a meal was on the way to her. And so much like her older brother and her father in the form of Hosanna and Tingana, she knows that her tummy is the key to her heart, and she went bounding around all over the place. And when she got to this carcass, she just stormed in and took it over, and poor Thandi was left just to go and sit and sleep at the back end. So it was very, very cool to see and very cute to watch her kind of bristling with excitement as she was walking along with Mom and back and forth. And every time Thandi would stop, she would come bounding back as if to say, "Come on, Mom, you can't stop now. I'm hungry. I want to go and get food." So very, very cool to see them together. I know a lot of you have been hoping that we would get a really good sighting of them, and well, I think we'll probably spend most of our afternoon with the two of them and see what they get up to. Now, I suspect that this carcass was killed probably during the rain this morning. Aubrey tells me that because Aubrey came out a little bit earlier and he managed to find them on Torchwood, but he said they were very, very, very far. He followed them for over an hour already, walking from Torchwood just straight in this direction, and so they've been walking for over an hour, which, when you think about that, that is a long, long, long section to walk for. I mean, so they've been walking now about an hour and 45 minutes, so she was a long way away, and so I think this was probably killed during the course of the rain, and then she's now trapped all the way back to Tlalamba, called her, and then they've moved all this way. Now look at those little bloody lips. She looks menacing when she looks at you with blood all over them. Now, Kim, leopards will take 2 kills at once if the opportunity presents itself. We're about to head off into our impala lambing season, so come November, December, you should start to see a lot of lambs around, and that means that the leopards will take any advantage. And I've actually seen one leopard with 7 different impala lambs in one tree, So they will take if they can get. I've also seen different leopards with multiple kills. Tingana, I've seen him with 2 different wildebeest. I've seen Tundi with 2 different kills before. She once had 3 duikers, an entire duiker family, mom, dad, and the baby, all in the same tree. So they do often take multiple kills. If an opportunity presents themselves, they'll take it. They are animals that know that when the next time food comes, could be quite tricky. So they'll try and their very best to be able to actually get what they need. Now, Taylor McCurdy is busy calling me on the radio. I don't know why she's calling me, but let me answer her. Otherwise, she'll shout at me, and I don't want to be shouted at by Taylor. Go ahead, Taylor. Copy that. So Taylor is telling me now that Bossy Donna, who is Taylor's mom. If anybody doesn't know about Taylor's mom, Donna, Mrs. McCurdy, should I say? Well, Taylor refers to her as Bossy Donna, and she just told me now that Bossy Donna is coming into the sighting. Taylor's parents are actually visiting, and so she said that Bossy Donna is coming in hot and that I must be careful. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. Poor Taylor gives her mom so much trouble. Her mom seems to be very, very, very nice, and obviously we'll get to meet her as the course of the day goes on, and probably this evening. Anyway, now Tax is also calling me on the radio. He's trying to actually get into the sighting, and he's driving Taylor's parents at the moment. So I'm going to have to try and talk to him and get him in here. How I'm going to get people in here, I'm not quite sure, because it's very tricky to get you. Sorry, Tax, just where exactly are you now? All right, Tax, just keep coming, and when you see, well, just before you get to that 2-track that goes up towards the Mudwallow and that big pathway, so a little bit on the western side of that, just turn north, and then I'll try and look for your vehicle. But the closest tree that you can look out for is a torchwood that's got green leaves. That's a little bit to my southwest at the moment, as you go down towards this drainage line. So there we go. We've hopefully got Tax in here, and so while I contemplate how I'm going to get Tax in here and work out a way to get him here, let's send you across to, well, Bossy Donna's offspring, and I suppose she's also bossy in her own right, and hopefully she won't shout at me when we get back to camp later.
She might just boss you in that sighting. Trust me, it's coming. Right, we just bumbling around now. We're gonna head towards Treehouse Dam. I'm trying to figure out where Shidulu and Hosana will drink water, if they need to drink water, if it's going to be at Twin Dams or if it's going to be at Treehouse Dam, because they're not particularly far away from one another. I suppose it's kind of like equal distance. The water at both places are really shocking, so you know, it's not like there's one area that's got better quality water than the other. Very much algae infested at the moment, so we're just kind of going to do some loops. There's going to be a lot of congestion, unfortunately, at the leopard sighting because it's on a boundary, so people will be passing by. So that's why I'm hoping that they come this side to drink, because then that will give us another opportunity to sit with them. And we're really lucky with Shidulu, because it was beautiful during the school drive that they're sitting all on those fallen marulas. Now, I haven't seen Shidulu for 2 years. The last time I think I saw must have been in October, must have been around this time 2016, so ages ago. She still had a scar on her back. Do you remember that? It was quite some time ago. She's definitely filled out. It's nice to see a decent sized female leopard again, because Tundi's like an African pygmy leopard. She's so little. Powerful though. She really, you know, brings that saying to life, dynamite comes in small packages, the way she's able to tackle such massive prey. But Shidulu is a beautiful girl. She kind of reminds me of a leopard called Warthog Wallow. She's not alive anymore, sadly. But if you weren't concentrating, you could quite easily mistake her for a young male leopard. Okay, no one's here though at Treehouse Dam. At least the sun's coming out. Right, so we're going to keep just bumbling around here and see what else we can find. Steve has finally made it to the herds of wildebeest, and it sounds like he's got himself surrounded.
Thanks very much, Taylor. We are trying to navigate the dust. We've somehow missed that little bit of rain that fell, but it's lovely. I can feel it. I can actually taste it in the air. But there's a car in front of us that is heading towards where the lions are as well. So we just spoke with one of the rangers. We got some directions before about where the lions are, and apparently from the information we got before, they are making kill after kill as the wildebeest come down to the water to drink. So not like this morning when we had the lionesses trying to find or to catch those animals. Lions are lying up in ambush, pretty similar to what Osana likes to do, close to the water point or to the Mara River itself, and the vehicle said that they saw the lions kill at least 3 wildebeest. Just kill one, drag it on the bush, kill one, drag it on the bush. I've seen that kind of behavior before. It's just a killing frenzy. They're not necessarily even eating them. They're full, but they just happen to want to catch them because they keep coming. They just keep coming, just keep coming. Zephyr, they are everywhere. The wildebeest are everywhere. I mean, we thought that's why we went to go check that crossing, because there's so many wildebeest making their way towards the Mara River, but none of them, there's no real crossing points where we are right here, as far as James tells me. So that's why we went to where we got those zebra. The wind has changed, fantastic. The dust is now moving across the road. We can speed up a little bit, but one of the rangers in front of us is going to show us exactly where this area is. So very nice when you don't have radios. There happen to be sort of rangers on call all over the place that are able to assist, and hopefully we'll be able to show you what we think is at least a couple of lions, one of them being a male, one being a female, and they've made a couple of kills. We're not sure exactly the rest of the details, but the lady who was telling us on her vehicle with the guide, they were all imbibing in a couple of gin and tonics, so they had quite a marvelous afternoon. We almost stayed for one, but you know, we've got to work. We've got to work here, and on we go. Not too far away, I don't think. Louise is probably laughing at my gin and tonic joke now. I think James is being very serious at the time, but we have to work, don't we, James? Okay, so the ranger is going to stop here, and this is the entrance into one of the sort of camps along the Mara River. We can't go all the way to the camp, but the lions, thankfully, are somewhere away from the camp, which is great. In we go, called Dirisha Camp. And you can see the tracks on the road in front of us where the vehicle in front has been. You see the rain has fallen here before, so we've just missed it. But anyway, we're going to find the largest carnivore on the African continent, and while we do that, Tristan is still with Thandi and her little one.
I am indeed. Look at the serious face. You are getting so big. You've got now a face that is not as cubby as it used to be. She's starting to look a lot more serious, and she really is a beautiful female. She's got these incredible eyes that Thandi often produces, these leopards that get these kind of beautiful greenish eyes, and it's not quite Tumba's eyes, but they're still very, very nice. Now, I wonder if Thandi wants to come and feed. Kalamba dragged the carcass a little bit, and there comes Thandi. Yes, I know, girl, it's your carcass. I'm not trying to steal it. You may have it, you may do with it what you want. It's not for me, it's for you. I know, I know. So she's being her protective self, which is fine. She deserves to be. I mean, it's her carcass, and like I say, she's got her baby here, and so she's just making sure everybody knows that this is mine. And so what she's watching is, because Tax is coming in and trying to join us, she's making sure that Tax is not following another leopard or potentially hyenas. So that's why she's looking around and just double checking, and now she's going to settle down, hopefully, to have a bit of a feed herself. She's had obviously a tough time over the course of the last few days. Seems as she's done a lot of kilometers and moved quite a lot, and so I'm pretty sure all she wants to do is just get a good meal and just rest and relax. And so once she's happy that there's nothing coming her way, she's going to tuck in, and she deserves this meal, because looking after little Kalamba is not the easiest of things to do. Kalamba is, as we know, a busy cat at the best of times and moves about all over the place, and so it keeps mom on her toes, and she, like I say, has a lot of work to get through in order to keep this little one safe. So I'm hoping that she's going to get a good meal out of this, and hyenas won't rob her tonight. The only problem that she has is she doesn't really have space to actually put this kill. You got kind of, well, I suppose there is trees around, but they're all far. She needs to actually drag it a little closer to a tree in order to try and get things right. Roshni, Mrs. Grumpy is back. Yes, well, she is grumpy at times, but that's part of the reason why we all like her. Because of her feisty nature, it makes us all kind of appreciate her that much more. There we go. So that's her just telling everybody, you just stay where you are. I'm quite happy with everything this way. This is my kill. She makes me laugh, though. I thoroughly enjoy it. Her feistiness is what makes her her. It's going, you know, she's one of those leopards that just makes sure that everybody knows exactly who's in charge of what's going on, and she really does kind of bare teeth and make sure that those around her are under no illusions as to who's in charge of the situation. So it's very, very cool. I kind of love it. It's interesting that Kalamba hasn't inherited it at all. So Kalamba doesn't seem to have inherited that growly kind of nature. I've never seen Kalamba hiss or growl at us, not once. And I believe a lot of you are agreeing that she's also got those kind of greenish eyes that Tumba's got. Not quite as extreme as Tumba, but definitely still got that greenish tinge to them. So she's produced a lot of boys that have had that color eye, and the only one that really didn't quite get it was Kuchava. She seems to have got a bit more of a kind of golden coloration to her eyes, not quite the same sort of aquamarine sort of color that the rest of her offspring have taken on. Because Wabiyiza had it a little bit. He had a very green tone to his eyes, and then obviously Tumba. Bohuti also had a bit of more of a yellow tone, if I remember correctly. I only ever saw Bohuti, I think, once, and then before he disappeared. So, you know, I don't really remember him that well, if I'm honest. She's just kind of pulling the carcass away a little bit and getting a good feed. Shame. Must be a hungry girl at this stage. Walked a lot today. Apex, that's tough to say. I mean, we've discussed this a few times, and you really never know with a leopard. There's many factors that can influence how long a leopard stays with its cub. But, you know, going on previous cubs from Tundi, she tends to leave them a little bit earlier rather than later. So I would say I'm going to go with maybe March. That's roughly February, March, April, somewhere there. We'll start to see Tundi kind of separating off from Kalamba and starting to see a very different kind of behavior from her. That's what I think. I mean, it might be earlier than that. I'm hoping not, because little Kalamba is a small leopard. She's still a long way to go to grow up, to be strong enough. And, you know, we have yet to see Kalamba make a proper kill yet. And so until that happens, you know, I would not want her to kind of be on her own. But this is a big male duiker that they've managed to bring down. You can actually see the horns of the duiker just to the left of Tundi's face. And so it's a good meal for the two of them. Tundi, unlike Hosana, doesn't bite off more than she can chew, and often will take on these smaller carcasses that she'll then be able to hoist if she needs to, as well as eat quite a lot before anything kind of comes her way. And look at how she's plucking. Isn't this amazing? So you can see how those front teeth work. She can pull off all of that fur. The reason why she's pulling it off is she doesn't want to eat that fur. That fur takes up space in her stomach and doesn't actually kind of have any nutrient value to her, and actually, in fact, just causes more of an issue than anything else. And so she's going to pluck off all of that hair and then try and get into that nice soft meat and even the skin. And there's that paw. So you can see it gives you a nice size comparison of a male duiker versus a leopard. You can see kind of her paw on its flank as to how much bigger a leopard is. Joshua, no idea where Sausage version 1 is. His last was seen yesterday by Taylor around Rebecca's Road, central part of Djuma. No sign of him this morning, but given that there were wild dogs around, a carcass on Little Gari and a carcass here, undoubtedly he is going to appear somewhere. His nose is far too sophisticated when it comes to meat for him not to pilfer a carcass today with so many kind of potential meals around, and so I wouldn't be surprised how Sausage appears, unless of course he caught something himself last night, which is highly possible given the conditions that we had. You know, we've seen that Shidulu made a kill. Hosana's eventually found it there, and probably why he didn't make a kill himself. And Tandi's made a kill, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Tingana managed to get something himself, or, like I say, he's going to arrive at one of these scenes and impose himself as he does, and takes the food for himself. He's a very good at finding food, is Tingana. Maybe he even robbed Hosana last night of his own meal, and that's why Hosana ended up going down to Little Gari. I don't know. Where we left Hosana yesterday was so far from where he is this morning, or today, it really kind of is a bit, doesn't know why he would have moved that far, unless, of course, he was milling about and then just heard some sort of sign of something being killed and went down to investigate and stole it. But difficult to say exactly what happened, but you can hear her crunching through the bone. Right, well, Tandi, you are going to enjoy your meal. We're going to spend more time with her. We're going to thoroughly enjoy our interactions with the two. While we do that, though, we're going to send you back across to Steve and the Lions.
Thank you very much, Tristan. I am trying to see them. I don't know where they are. There's no vehicles around. The information we were given wasn't very detailed. But apparently the lions killed 3 wildebeest, or 3 animals, and then dragged them into the thickets. We've just driven past the thickets, and there's nothing that we can see. So maybe it was further along this road. I think this road goes all the way through to the other side. Really hard to tell. Well, can't get everything out here. We'd like to find them for you. There's no off-road driving in these areas. So what we just went through, well, we couldn't see anything. So I don't think, even if they were in there, we would get a good view. But I'm going to keep going along here to the next thicket. Rashni, I'm a little bit short out here in the Mara, so to be able to see, you need to be able to stand up a little bit. It helps him. James is a much taller and higher in the back there. He can see a bit further, and here comes the rain. Whew, it's beautiful. I don't think we're going to get too wet. What do you think, James? Oh, it's coming now. It's actually quite nice and fresh after this afternoon. Cutting right in on the side. Okay, well, I don't see any lions. We're going to keep going through here, though, to the next sort of croton thicket. Ooh, a fork in the road. This is always decision-making time. I say right. Gut feeling. There's another thicket of crotons over there. One thing in Africa, when people describe distances or roads, there's never too much of a just over there. It's often very, very far away. Okay, well, let's go back down to Tristan and with the playful Tandi and Tlalapa.
Well, yes, Steve can have a dose of what we had to deal with this morning, so he's going to start getting rained on too, and at least in the Mara vehicles they are better suited for rain than what ours are, so he should be a little drier than what we got this morning, and it should be a lot warmer there too. But you can see Tlalamba, after a little feed, she didn't actually have as much as I thought she would, has kind of passed out and is having a good nap. I'm sure she's tired. She's walked a long, long way with Mom, and she was far too exuberant and spent her time probably doing double the distance that Mom did, because she ran around Mom all over the place, up and down trees, and kind of tired herself out a little bit, and so she's having a good little nap. And then Mom, well, she's busy chewing through bone, and look at the strength of their jaws. You can see she's actually chipped the tip of her left bottom canine. I haven't noticed that before. I wonder if that's fairly recent. Maybe somebody can check some of the photos back when we've got plenty of photos of her showing her teeth, I'm sure, over the course of the last few years, and so it'd be interesting to know when that tooth actually chipped. I don't remember it being chipped recently. Josh, of all of Tandi's cubs, who has been the most feisty? Hands down, her first, Wabayiza. He was very feisty. He was just like his mom. Used to often hiss and carry on. And in fact, I used to have a photo of him doing just that somewhere along the line. I'll try and see if I can find it quickly for you guys. But he used to have exactly the same point of view as mom, and was not shy to show off his teeth and make sure that everybody understood exactly who was in charge of what was going on. So he was one that growled a lot. The rest, not so much. I didn't really see, like I said, I didn't really know Bahuti well enough to answer that from his point of view, but Kuchava doesn't get like that. She was just shy. Tumba, we know, is a little rock star. He's never really showing his teeth to anybody. And, well, little Kalamba too. She's also very, very relaxed around everybody. So she's okay. I'm just trying to see if I can find that photo. I should have it somewhere. Maybe, just maybe, I don't have it with me. I'll try and find it for all of you. I should have a photo of it. I don't think I do, which is quite strange. I normally have photos of him and his snarl. I'll have to look around, because he definitely used to make quite a lot of snarls, and like I say, just used to be just like his mom. When his mom would snarl, so would he. He was not shy to dish it out just like she did. So, you know, he was probably the feistiest of all of them by a long way. Unfortunately, he ended up being killed by the Sticks. For those of you that don't know, he was killed by the Sticks Pride of Lions, and unfortunately didn't, you know, make it very far in life, which is a bit sad. He was a beautiful male as well, had beautiful eyes, and I don't seem to have that photo of him growling or hissing. I'll try find it somewhere over the course of the next couple of days, and then maybe try and show it on Drive. I definitely don't think I have it with me on my phone. I thought I might have had a photo of him on my phone, of him snarling, but it doesn't seem like it's. Just got to check one more place, and maybe I'll have it there. Sometimes these are the things that happen, is you kind of forget where you put these photos, but I don't think so. I don't think I've got a photo of him on here. No, I don't know. I'll keep looking, or maybe when we're off air I'll be able to find it somewhere. I should have a photo somewhere of him, like I say, snarling and kind of carrying on and doing his thing. So we'll try and figure it out as we go. But he was a very cool leopard. I used to thoroughly enjoy him. He spent most of his time around between Nkoro and Chitwa. They were born actually in front of Nkoro, which is quite strange when you think of where Tandi kind of occurs now. She never heads that way, but her first litter was always in front of the camp there, and then she kind of moved them slowly towards Chitwa, and then the two of them spent a vast majority of time during the 2012 flood around Chitwa Dam and that area. Good. Well, we'll sit with these two a while longer. Tlalamba's got a bit of indigestion by the looks of things from eating too fast, and so we'll send you across to Taylor while she deals with that.
Right, so we're just bumbling still. We haven't really found much at all. A couple of impala here and there, but otherwise the animals are few and far between. I was hoping to find some elephants, but then again, I can't imagine any of them would be out in the open on a chilly afternoon like today. So we're going to shoot up Aubrey's Road, and then I think we'll start bobbing and weaving through Mvubu, up Gari Cutline, down Hyena Road, check around Buffelshoek Dam, and all those sort of areas and those drainage lines. And hopefully we'll come across some animals just trying to keep nice and warm. But for now, we'll just bumble and see what else pops up. Birds have been very quiet today, not doing too much, except around camp. They're everywhere. They're making such a noise, from orange-breasted bushshrikes to babblers. Then the Cape Glossy starlings were having a fight about something. I thought there was an owl or a snake in the tree, but it wasn't. They were sort of not very happy with one another. There were about 6 of them. And then there were also some... what else? Oh, it might have been a scimitar, because there was only one. Either a green wood hoopoo or a scimitar. But one of them was also flying around. It was a great bird party. Why can't we get a bird party like that out here? We could sit and watch them. That would be nice. Oh, hang on, wait. Maybe I'll be able to show you a very frozen squirrel if it doesn't run. Oh, it came down lower. Just in that marula. Hello. It jumped down to a much better spot. Also very, very fluffed up today. Bye, squirrel. Come back round. No. Didn't really want to be seen. Okay, that's fine. You're brave for sitting out in the open. I'd be tucked away in my little hole in the tree all day long. I wouldn't come out. If I was a warthog, I could also be in my burrow. I think I would have given today a skip if I was an animal and just stayed inside. Because it rained it didn't rain a lot. It rained a little bit, just enough to settle the dust. I mean, pretty much everything is dry again. By tomorrow it'll be all dusty. I think that might be the end of it. It'd be nice if tonight we maybe got like another 10 or 15 mils of rain and then was sunny tomorrow. But we will see. I think we're going to have a few more overcast days. Right, an area, well, that gets a lot more rain than we do out here is the Mara. And I wonder if today Steve is going to have to drive round and round the rain.
Thank you very much, Taylor. We're still looking. We've come back to the sort of Croton thicket, where only Croton thicket we've seen along the road that we were told about. So we're hoping to maybe get a little view. I was also told that we would see where a vehicle kind of did like a turnaround, and I haven't seen any of that yet. But then again, we did get a bit of a squall of rain coming through, which washed away any of the fresh sort of tracks. So could be just flat lying up in the thickets. We're just keeping our eyes very well peeled around here. The orange-leaved Croton. It's quite thick. So it is official. They have killed 3 animals. I think it's wildebeest. Judging by the number of wildebeest that were around this area when we came past earlier. But I don't see anything. I mean, they wouldn't have dragged it too far. You'd think you'd be able to maybe find it. But anyway, that's the way it works out here. We'll head back around onto this side. I think there's another road that comes through. And see if there's any activity. The lack of vehicles in the area means we might be on the wrong road. Chris, we've come back from that fork all the way back to where we started. So my right ended up taking us into the middle of nowhere, and the left, well, we didn't go left, but that would have taken us even further into the middle of nowhere. We've come back to where the original sort of directions were leading us to. We were just sort of bumbling along, seeing if we could find anything else. But yes, Chris, it's possible. Left sometimes is better than right. But no Croton thickets in either one of those directions. The only Croton thicket we know of is here, but maybe there's another road on the other side. As I say, the directions were limited, and this road leads us into the marsh, into the swamp, which when wet can be almost impenetrable. This is the area, I'm pretty sure, where everyone's gotten stuck. So we're going to keep ourselves very, very close to the road. There's no off-road driving in this area, of course, but I remember spending time in February driving through some of the roads in this area, and our mind boggled at how we could get through some of these muddy tracks. You just put it in second, low range, and you go. You don't slow down. If anything's in the way, well, it has to move. Ooh, okay, well, we've got some elephants down here, and by the bit of mist coming up there, I wonder what's going on. Possibly some elephants playing. Ah, elephants are climbing up the bank. Francis, you want to know if the rain is cleaner than what you get in the cities? I suppose it probably is. Well, it's all evaporated up. There's not too much pollution to speak of in the area. And that is a beautiful shot right in front of us with this herd of elephants marching into the plains. You can see the squall of rain in the background over the back of the heads of these elephants. And they've just come up from the Mara River. There's more coming. There's a whole lot of dust bathing going on just below the bank. You can see sort of fluffs or plumes of dust coming up there. I'm going to assume that that's elephants, because a whole lot more elephants were in front of them. Nice family of elephants moving through. Isn't that a beautiful backdrop with the rain in the background, the Olololo mountain range off to the right. Absolutely splendid out here, regardless of whether we find lions or not. It's just magical to be out. And the freshness. Here comes a very dirty elephant now that has covered itself in some dust. He's probably been swimming by the colour of him. It's very dark in colour. Hello, young one. There's a little teenager. Definitely a boy. Don't ask me how I can tell. Just got that sort of sixth sense with these sort of things. Comes another one. He's only been halfway into the water. Another boy. I've just got the sixth sense with identifying male elephants. If none of you get the joke there, then I'm sorry. And here comes another one, a bigger one, much bigger than the other two. You can almost see they've probably crossed the river. You can see almost the height at which the water comes up to the legs and chest of that individual. Beautiful family unit here. Such a peaceful and relaxing scene. Again, this morning when we saw the elephants, we were talking about how relaxed they are and how they just take their time. Well, these guys have had a drink, and some of them a swim, and then a little bit of dust bathing on the back. And well, then, you know, what's next? Well, let's go for a little bit of a walk and dry off a little bit, and then a little bit of food. And that is pretty much the order of the day. Okay, well, these elephants, who are most certainly not grumpy, they're looking very relaxed and in a very good mood. I believe Thandi is not in her best of moods. Let's go and see how she's getting on with her dinner.
Oh, well, she's okay for now. She's happy now that she's feeding. She was just telling everybody when they first arrived that's who's boss and who's kind of dealing with the situation and who's going to look after everybody, and well, and whose kill it actually is at the end of the day. That's all she was doing, so she's fine. She's not too grumpy. Shame, she gets a bad reputation. She's not a grumpy cat. But I did eventually find a photo of Wabiiza, which is quite cool. It's not a great photo. It's just a photo of a photo that I have at home, and it's basically a kind of picture that I printed out, so I'm sorry that it's not ideal, but anyway, there he is. That's how he used to be quite regularly. He used to be just like his mom. Is that not just like Thandi? So he used to also bare his teeth fairly regularly. Those are lines and things and other things that we don't need to worry about, Seb. So this is the kind of way that he often was. This was at a hyena that he was growling. It wasn't actually at us. There was a hyena that was milling about near a kill at Chitwa Dam, and he was growling like that, but it's typical of that family. Now, it's also, some of you may or may not have noticed, it's a very sad day today because, well, there's another part of Wild Earth that is going to be leaving today, and that is my good old favorite hat. So it's not me, myself, but my favorite hat is just unfortunately gotten to that point where it needs to be retired, so it's starting to show some damage, and I reckon this hat has probably seen more leopards in its time than most hats have ever seen, and so it's really done a good innings, but it is kind of falling apart and it looks as though it needs to be changed, and so it's being retired today, unfortunately, which makes me a little bit sad. But I thought it was a good day to retire it because, yes, we'll have a farewell for it, but it will remain with me. I'll use it as maybe one of my fishing hats or something like that. And then I've got a brand new one now that is very kind of bright and shiny, and I don't really like new hats, and so this one better start kind of getting wet and dusted and everything like that, because it's, you know, I don't like these kind of new things. The problem is it's a bit light colored, so I think it's going to look dirty quite quickly, but apparently it matches my haircut according to Louise, so it's a time for it wholesale change. And I thought a good day today because obviously we've got Thandi and Kalamba, so it's a good omen that I put this hat on now, and that will mean that I eventually then have good leopard luck with it. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Whether or not it works, who knows, but that's the plan for the day. Is my cat hat? Yes, exactly, Louise. Thank you very much for that. So my cat hat is now on, and hopefully it will be just as successful in helping me find leopards as my old one was. I'm quite, like I say, quite sad. My old one used to be a bright green color before it faded into this, I don't even know what you want to call it at the moment. It looks horrendous, and it's kind of gone through the mill a bit. But anyway, like I say, lots of hours spent in the field on that cap, and it's time for it to have a time or out. Oh, phew, that's tricky. I've had some crazy stuff with this hat. So this hat has been to how many different countries now? So this hat just this year has done South Africa. So it was obviously here in the Sabi Sands regularly. It's been down to the coast a few times. It went to Botswana for a epic 3-week journey through the wet, flooded Botswana. It's been to Kenya and survived the flooding in Kenya. But actually, I'm quite glad I'm getting rid of this hat because it seems like a rain hat. It then went all the way to the Congo. So it survived the Congo as well. It's been to Italy. It's been all over the place, really, this cap, and it's done quite well for itself, considering that it's about 2 years old. And so my favorite memory with it, tricky. Too many, really. I mean, I've seen pretty much everything that I've seen at Wild Earth has been with this hat. Well, I had a different one to when I first started, but this one came in quite early after that because I didn't like that first one when I started. It wasn't the right kind of one for me. It didn't feel good, and so I had to change it for a hat. I don't like the hats that have like kind of things that are too hard, and it needs to be a bit squishy and sort of flexible. So I like a squishy kind of flexible hat, and that's why I've got this one. So I don't know, it's tricky. There's been lots and lots of memories with it, and so I've been fortunate to have seen a lot of cool things, all of it in total. It's been a good year that I've had that hat. Jamie, yes, maybe I should get each cat to autograph it with a tooth or a claw. Hosana, I think, would sign it for me. He would give his little claw and just like sign his name on the peak. Wouldn't that be quite cool? No, I don't. Obviously, if I gave this to Tandy, I reckon Tlalamba would steal it, and it would not look like a hat anymore by the time she finished. She should chew it up. And definitely, if I dropped it at the hyena den, it would not look any good after being there. So I would probably just keep it, and don't want them to eat any kind of bits of cloth or anything like that, so it will stay with me. And like I say, it still has a purpose. It will be a good fishing hat, that's for sure, and it will be a good adventuring hat when I'm not at work. It just doesn't look good for work anymore. It's kind of become a bit tatty. I often like to make sure things are good. Monique, we can do an Instagram takeover for the hat. We'll call it the hat. And we can do an Instagram takeover and show some photos that the hat has been involved in. We can definitely do that. I think that'll be quite fun, actually. And we'll take the hat on adventures, and we'll just kind of put it in random places and see what we can do with it. I'm pretty sure that, you know, if I gave it to Hosana, he would wear it. Hosana looks like a cap hat. Cap and sunglasses would be my guess for Hosana if he could. Sometimes I see him squinting into the sun and I feel sorry and I want to put the hat on his head. No, I'm just kidding. We can do it though. We'll see. We can see what maybe my favorite photographs I've taken with my hat. Maybe that's what we should do as an Instagram takeover. We'll see how we go with that, but it's been pretty cool. Now, getting back to more serious things, I believe a lot of you are quite confused about, so some of you that are new viewers are confused about the lineage and what we actually were talking about earlier with Wabiyiza and Bahuti and all these leopards that I'm just throwing names out. So I'll kind of go through it roughly quickly for those of you that are new and don't quite understand what the kind of dynamic is at the moment. So basically, I mean, we don't want to go too far back, but there was a female leopard called Safari. She had a cub called Karula, and Karula then became the dominant female of Djuma. And she was dominant here for quite some time. She managed to be probably the most successful leopard in terms of raising cubs that I've ever had the privilege of spending time around. And as far as I've spoken to many different guides, they all feel the same. I mean, no guides that I've spoken to really knows a leopard that had the same success rate in raising cubs to maturity than what Karula did. She only, as far as we know, lost one cub in her entire kind of tenure, a 12-year lifespan, and successfully raised a lot of cubs. So she successfully raised a group of them, and basically the first two cubs that she had was Tandi and her sister Shadow. Now, Shadow used to be seen until about the beginning of this year. She disappeared, I think, in December, was it? When did we do Big... Yeah, it was about December or January, somewhere there. And she disappeared. We don't know what happened to her, and so she's no longer around as far as we know. Then Karula had two boys. She had Induna and Mishu. Induna and Mishu both distributed out. They stuck around for a while. Induna was here for longer than Mishu, and they were about, what were they? So about 3 when they left, eh? Yeah, about that age when we stopped seeing them. And they went off into, it seems as though they distributed eastwards into the Kruger Park area. Then she had a boy and a girl. So she had Shivambalana and Shivinzi. Shivinzi, we don't know what happened to her. She just disappeared. Shivambalana became fairly dominant around this area and actually dominated around in Coral for quite some time until the next litter came along, which was Quarantine and Kunyuma. And Quarantine then shifted Shivambalana out eastwards into Kruger, and Quarantine now dominates around in Coral, Torchwood, into Buffelshoek, that area. So that's where he is, and Kunyuma now dominates as a male down in Mala Mala to our south and is known as the Senegal Bushmale. And then she had her last litter, which was Hosana and Shongile. Now, Hosana, we know, is still around and moving about. Shongile, unfortunately, seems as though she disappeared last year around August, in August, when she had a huge fight with Tandi, so who you're looking at now, and Tandi being her older sister. And that was all pretty much because Karula had disappeared at that point and left this area vacant. And so Tandi started to swoop in and take over as the dominant female, and she just did not take kindly to Shongile being around and had a huge fight with her, and it came to a physical confrontation, and we never saw Shongile again. So that was Karula's kind of generations and her offspring. From there, what happened was all her female offspring, besides Tandi, were kind of marred by bad luck. So Shadow had an incredibly difficult time in raising cubs, not because she was the worst mother, but because she had a tricky area that she occupied, a lot of different males that used to be around, and she was kind of transient, or males that were transient and on the edges of her territory. And so she lost a lot of cubs to males, lost cubs to hyenas, lions. She just had a bit of a tricky time of it. She then kind of obviously disappeared, and she only had one surviving offspring that we know of, and that is Sindile, which is a male that is distributed out as well. He became quite shy after he had a bit of an incident where he kind of fed off a dog. Well, didn't feed off it, but he killed a dog that was rabid, and it kind of, there was thoughts that he might have got it, and he was treated for rabies, and that meant that he spent a kind of period in a quarantine, and after that he became a bit shy. So we don't really know where he has ended up. The last time he was seen was at Elephant Plains, and he moved around a lot into the Kruger and down to the south of the Sabi Sand, so he could just be in the Kruger at the moment. So she didn't really raise any females. Shongile and Shavinzi both just disappeared, so we don't know what happened to them. And so Tandi really was the kind of last beacon of hope for the Karula lineage, and she's managed to raise 2 females, which is Tlalamba at the moment. So I suppose we can't really say raised just yet. She's still raising Tlalamba, but her not her previous litter, the litter before, Kuchava, is one of her daughters who had a cub recently and lost it, unfortunately, and she spends time to the east of Tandi, so she's on the eastern side of Tandi, and moves around in that area. And then Tandi had in total 3 boys, so she's had 2 females, 3 boys. Her 3 boys being Wabayiza, which is the picture I showed you just now of the growling or hissing cat, and then she had Bahuti, who also disappeared, don't know what happened to him, and then Tamba, which we know is still around as well, and was being seen recently on Londolozi and Ottawa and Marthley in those areas of the Sabi Sands, which is to our southwest. So that's pretty much the breakdown of that lineage as far as we know it. So pretty much Tandi is the last hope with Kuchava and Tlalamba. Those are the last females of that particular lineage, and so hopefully Kuchava will be successful in raising cubs, and that Tlalamba goes into adulthood and can raise cubs and carry the beacon of the Karula lineage forward, and that kind of bloodline carries on. So hopefully that clears things up. Hopefully you're not too confused by it all. I know it's a lot of names. It's a big family tree that Karula left behind, and so that's why it kind of takes a while to get through. Anyway, we're going to carry on sitting here. Like I said, it's always nice to discuss these kind of things, and so while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's bumbling.
Well, we're trying to find animals, but we cannot find any animals anywhere. They are all hiding away. So guess what we're going to go and do now? We're going to go back past that leopard sighting just from a distance, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a full sighting with everybody that can traverse on Little Gowrie racing on in. So we'll just have a little sneaky look from the fire breaks. We're not intruding. And then I think we're going to bumble towards Chitwa. I don't think there's going to be too much happening at Chitwa Dam. I can imagine all the animals will be keeping out of the wind. The hippos will be lying low. Oh my goodness, a zebra. That's incredible. That's actually very pretty. With a dramatic sky and of course the dead tree. Very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. Now, I think we've seen these 3 zebra. We saw them the other day. There's another 2 on the other side of the road, and they're grooming one another. They don't look particularly old. They look quite young, actually, in comparison. They look like 2 sub-adults. I don't know where... Oh, there's 4 of them in total, so it's 2 mares and their offspring. But naturally, offspring hanging around with one another. The oxpecker's just at the zebra's feet. You can see there's one oxpecker in the road. It kind of just looks like a rock, but it is not just a rock. That is actually a bird. Was it an oxpecker? It was just moving around now. I'm not going crazy, surely. No, it doesn't look like anything, but it totally was moving around. Now I feel like I need to go and see what's happening there because I'm confused. You all saw that there was an oxpecker running across the road. You saw that as well. Hey, Craig. I don't think that's a bird anymore, but there was an oxpecker, I promise, that was scurrying across the road. Okay, let me go a little bit closer. Let's go see what's happening. Oh no, there's a few more zebra actually. They're all starting to pop out now. Not a massive herd. We actually saw a big herd this morning and a couple of impala. Not surprised there. And try to get a good view of these zebra. I'm just going to keep creeping up. I think I'm going to go to these ones here that are feeding on the termite mound. Don't be nervous, Nellies, now. And there they all are, just munching away, trying to get what little grass is kind of left on the termite mound. And just keeping an eye on us. They don't look too impressed with life at the moment. At least you don't have lions stalking you, zebra. Count yourselves lucky. Right, off they go. Bye, zebra. Okay. What next? What next? This is going to be miserable this afternoon. There's really not going to be many animals around, unfortunately. But we'll keep on trying and hopefully something will show itself throughout the afternoon. Off you go back to East Africa with Steve, who's also going to just be doing a bit of a bumble.
Well, we've managed to miss the rain. The rain has escaped us, but the wild lion chase has also escaped us. So anyway, we've moved on from that area. No one in the area to ask any further questions. So we're going to continue on with what we planned, heading over to the burnt area towards the Salt Lick area where maybe we will be lucky. Sorry about the bumps, folks. It's a very bumpy road where we may be lucky with a cheetah. I don't really care which one, just a cheetah. Yes? Agreed. Well, as we go, always things to stop for along the way. Never short of content this time of year in the Mara. And here we have a herd of elephant again, with a beautiful backdrop of a wildebeest on the horizon. Everybody enjoying a little bit of grazing. So peaceful. We managed to get through what was a bit of a storm coming down, and well, we covered the camera for a little while. Didn't need to drop the flaps, and it wasn't as bad as we thought. There's just sort of patches of it falling. Very beautiful scenes. These large pachyderms. Nice big mother there. Her youngster following very closely, seeing exactly how it's done. How do you beak an elephant? They take a long time to learn. She's busy. That's probably one of her other youngsters who's learnt the ropes already and is allowed to venture off a little bit further. There's a grazer's paradise out here. Stormy up here, I would not be able to tell you the lion or the leopard, the elephant herds. There's a male elephant we've seen the last 2 days, who most certainly, the one individual we've seen the last 2 mornings in a row, he has got a nice sort of easily identifiable left tusk, which is quite well worn down, so he's quite easily identified. But the rest of them, well, there are numbers and numbers of elephants. I couldn't tell you how many up here. but I haven't yet gotten to the stage of being able to identify any of them. But I'm sure after a period of time, if you keep frequenting similar areas, you might start getting similar breeding herds, or especially bulls hanging around, that you might be able to identify. See, there she is picking up little forbs as she goes. I was talking about this yesterday, about how the elephants move through the plains, and any sort of small forb-like plant, not being a grass that is, that grows, a small sapling perhaps, she's picking them up very, very delicately, very quickly, and in it goes. No chance for them to grow. And so with that, that's one of the reasons why she's going to cross the road. We're going to lose visual as there is a car parked just in front of us. You can see the herd will cross because maybe it's greener on the other side. We don't know. And you can see that one's got a bit of a left tusk worn down as well. And for quite a young elephant, it's quite an enormous amount of wear and tear. See, it's like a creeper growing on the grass, almost like the devil's thorn, sort of. I can't tell you what sort of creeper it might be, but probably an annual forb of sorts that's growing through the long grass here the elephants are looking for very specifically. And there, the one at the back has got a little bit of a shorter trunk, the tip of it seemingly missing. That does happen from crocodiles from time to time, and we do know sadly as well in Africa it does occur due to snares. I'm not sure what the snare poaching is like up in this part of the world, but she's still able to feed, still able to utilize those fingers or the trunk, even though the tips of the fingers are gone. Still very dexterous. There we go, seemingly no effort. It looks like it is missing, doesn't it, James? She will be easy to identify if we find her again, which would make this herd identifiable. 5 of them. Small little family unit. Yeah, Lou is confirming that it definitely does look like the tip is missing. But she's not being affected in any way. Still feeding at the same sort of speed or rate at which the others are feeding. So seemingly not too much of a problem. I've seen elephants with half trunks still feeding. Just takes a little bit of extra practice. As in human society, handicapped people are often able to overcome certain ways and able to still do things that you would think would be absolutely impossible. I've seen individual people without arms able to paint and do everything with their toes. So quite incredible what you're able to do if you put your mind to it. Okay, well, I didn't realize that Tristan was so attached to his hat. My condolences to you, Tristan. But let's go back down to him with Thandi and her dinner.
Well, sorry, Steve, I do get attached to my hats. My hats are part and parcel of my day, every single day. And so a good hat is saves one from being obliterated by the sun out here. It's just a good thing to have. Now Thandi is going straight towards a tree with her kill, so I think she's going to hoist it. So I want to just get into position quickly so that we don't miss it. She's going towards this marula right here. Seb, is that good? Yeah. I think the other cars behind us, they might miss it, so let's just try to go a little bit forward. Okay, there we go. So that's good there. So that hopefully means that we're going to see her going up this marula. It looks like she's eyeing out this marula. There we go. Let's see if she's going to go. I think she's going to hoist up the tree, which is going to no. She's decided she's going to go to the next one. I think she might actually go to an apple leaf that is close by. It's got a nice bit of foliage, nice branch she can lie on. So let's just keep up with her. I'm pretty sure she's going to take it. Look at the power that she has though to drag that awkward one. And Clolamba's not helping. She looks like she wants to grab it from mom and pull backwards, which is quite funny. But there's the tree that she's going to go up. I can see it already that this is the one that she wants. Poor Thandi is trying to drag it and Clolamba's pulling it. She's doing so. Oh, there we go. Thandi just gave her a bit of a slap and said, no, that is not the way we do it. You do not drag it while I try and drag. You leave me alone. There we go. That's the tree. Thandi is going to take it up. I can almost guarantee that this is where she's going to go, given the kind of tree that it is and the sort of branches that she's got. I'm 99.9% sure that this is where she is going to take this tree, or this kill up, and she needs to get it up and rather soon, because it is going to start getting dark fairly shortly. And that means that things like hyenas are going to be around, and we're going to start to see her actually having to compete. But that power that a leopard possesses is just quite something. To drag a carcass like this is not an easy feat at all. It is a heavy... There we go. Now she's going to go with it. Let's see. There she goes. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Absolutely awesome. And up it is to safety. Well done, Tandy. So that was awesome. Perfect, perfect timing. And now that it's up there safely, she's going to have no problems whatsoever. We're not going to have to worry about hyenas anymore. We've got a beautiful setting sun in the background. Little Kalamba who's looking up at the tree, and I wonder if she's going to try and go up. I think Tandy's going to probably come down. Tandy's had a good feed, so she's put it up the tree now, but I'm pretty sure she's had a good feed. She's going to then kind of bring it, well, come down herself, and then probably find Kalamba will go up just to investigate what's happening. It's a nice tree for one of them to lie in. You see it's got that perfect kind of L shape to it. That is a horizontal branch that will be perfect for a cat to kind of sleep in. And well done, Seb, that is beautiful. It's got a sunset in the background, cat in a tree. Very, very pretty, considering all things considered. Very cool. That was good, wasn't it, Seb?
Oh,
amazing. Exactly. I think so too. Isn't that beautiful? I know it's not the best tree to see her face and all of the other things. Tandy, are you struggling there, my girl? Never too late? Yes, she was amazingly strong and graceful. She's got experience. You can see the way she hoisted that kill up the tree was very different to the way that Hosana tried to hoist the kill up the tree the other day. Hosana, we watched him trying to hoist his nyala, which was far too kind of heavy for him, and he was labored in the way he did it, whereas Sandy, she just kind of engaged low range, and she just goes up and then with her two paws just holds on and slowly just climbed her way up with no panic whatsoever. I suppose the difference is also she didn't have to be too worried about how long she took because no hyenas were around to actually chase her, so she was able to kind of get up and do her thing. But she's now just going to have her tail floating in the breeze because of the wind that's blowing, and it's going to be quite cool up there. Now little Kalamba, I'm pretty sure, is going to head up as well. Tad, you're right. It's true. It doesn't matter how many times you see a leopard going up a tree. Every single time it is special and is incredible. So we're very, very fortunate in being able to see these kind of things. And we've had such a good winter once again with our leopards and watching them going about their business that we cannot complain at all. We really have been treated to some incredible sightings. So, you know, never get tired of it, really, do we? I don't, that's for sure. Now, I wonder if little Kalamba is also going to go up. I wouldn't be surprised if she does. She might decide it's time to head up the tree and try and join Mom up there. There's space now for her. Joyce, when Kalamba was smaller, she did sometimes hang out with Tandy up in the trees. Now that she's gotten a bit bigger, I see Tandy comes down a lot when Kalamba goes up, but maybe. Let's see how it goes, and maybe she'll head down. She's definitely looking, trying to see where can I go that Mom won't shout at me for going up there. She got shouted at because she tried to pull the carcass while Mom was dragging it, and so she got growled at and snarled at and told off, and had to then kind of let go and sit at the bottom of the tree while Mom waits. But let's see, she looks like she might go up. I'm hoping she'll go up. It would be nice if she does. I certainly will be happy if she does. Look at that curious little face as she's kind of looking up the tree. She's got such a curious look about her when she kind of looks up these trees and kind of figures out what she's going to do next. Oh, I'm going to itch first. Now you see she's just smelling where that carcass went up, and so she's just working out, okay, where can I go now that Mom won't kind of shout at me? Well, the answer to that, Kalamba, is probably right there, yes. You need to lie down right there, and then your Mom won't shout at you, so she's probably now in a decent spot that Mom won't give her a hard time. I think Mom's going to settle up in the tree itself and take it nice and easy. We should get a beautiful, beautiful sort of sunset from here, because I'm hoping the sun is going to just dip below those clouds and we should light up this whole sky, and then we should hopefully get a bit of nice golden light on these two to finish up the day, which will be absolutely perfect. We got foiled by the sunset the other day with Umfakazi, and so hopefully today will be a bit different and we'll get a better kind of view. I don't think we're going to get the whole sun, but we'll definitely maybe get some light to light up the clouds, which will be quite spectacular, that's for sure. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll get it right and maybe everything will work out quite nicely. Pretty though, isn't it? Well, there goes Kalamba. What are you doing, silly cat? You can't just stay there. Now let's see what Mom does. Now normally Kalamba, when she goes up a tree, there's a little bit of snarling from both of them. Both of them have got a little bit to say and a bit of kind of growling and huffing and puffing at one another. So I'm sure everything will be okay though. Now they're up there, so that's the answer. Will the two of them go up there together? Well, there we go. Isn't that cool? Not one, but two leopards and a sunset. That is as spectacular and as good as it ever gets when it comes to a leopard view. Those two together and the sun setting is quite spectacular, if you ask me. I think so. Seb? Oh, yeah. Yes. So these kind of things make cameramen happy, that's for sure. They like to film these kind of things, so I'm pretty sure Seb is quite happy with what's going on. Much better than this morning. You see, she almost dropped it, so Tandi was quite quick to react there to make sure that it didn't drop to the ground. But of course, Kalamba is going to be a typical cub and is going to move it around. And Mom, I think, will be very upset if this falls down, because she'll have to repeat this whole process again. Yes, it's going to fall. There it goes. No, she's still got this. She's got some strength in her, that's for sure. Well done, little Kalamba. She is another story, this little cat. Good power though. I mean, she lifted that whole carcass and was able to actually pick it up, which was quite amazing. A part of me actually did want it to fall, because I wanted to see Tlalamba's reaction if she yet has that sort of knowledge to run down quickly, grab it and bring it back up again. I suspect that she does. Oh no, it's going to fall into the tree. Wouldn't that be a travesty if it actually falls down the trunk of the tree and they can't get to it? That would be I think Tandi would lose her temper quickly with little Tlalamba. Then Tlalamba would be in a lot of trouble if that were the case. But at this stage, all crisis averted. It hasn't fallen down into the depths of the tree itself. Everything is okay. Come on, little Tlalamba. Just put it somewhere. She's decided Mom knows best, and Mom had it in the right place after all. She is another story, this cat. Isn't it amazing to think when we first saw her, she was this kind of tiny little fluff ball that couldn't do anything. And now she's kind of hoisting, well, not hoisting, but carrying carcasses around a tree. It's crazy what happens in just under a year and how much she's kind of grown since then. I'm quite looking forward to her to being a year old. It was a very, very, very special time when we saw her for the first time. Obviously, we don't quite know exactly her date of birth. We roughly know when James found her kind of going into a den, but the first actual sighting of her was a little bit later, and she was fairly kind of mobile already by then. Right, well, we'll sit with these two, see what our little hooligan gets up to, and while we do, she's going to go into the tree. Can you believe this? Where are you going? No, you can't go in there. Anyway, we'll sit and watch the antics of this little cat. Let's just see what she does. Hold on. She's kind of getting herself into the tree for some reason. I wonder if there isn't something inside there that she's trying to chase. It could be something like a squirrel that's inside there. Often you do get those kind of things living in holes in trees. Squirrels, snakes, the likes. And so maybe that's what's kind of in there and why she's sort of trying to peer inside the hole. No, she's done now. Okay, well, without further ado, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's sitting with some hippos at Chitwa Dam. Now, it sounds like Taylor's got a few issues. Sorry, I'm just moving it quickly to try and line Seb up for the sunset. That's what I've been asked by my cameraman to do, so that's what I'm doing. There we go. You've got to be obedient when you're a presenter, because otherwise the cameramans, they whip you with the whip that they have in the back there. They have what's called a shambok, which is like a kind of leathery short whip, and then they hit you if you don't listen to them. No, I'm just joking. They're not like that at all. The guys are perfectly fine. They're always very, very polite when they ask us to move around, and I can understand why Seb wants us to move around. It's an absolutely glorious kind of view of these two beautiful cats sitting up in the tree itself. So I can fully understand Seb's point of view and why he wants to position where we are now. Now look at the two of them. Are you snarling at your mum? Oh, maybe you have got your mum's genes after all. It's almost as if to say, Mom, you've taken the best spot. I don't approve. I want that spot. And Tandy's just kind of looking through. Look at those are the eyes of a mother who is not impressed with her child. That's very funny. Right, well, while we watch this stare of disdain from Tandy, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's now got audio and the hippos.
Well, we're going to give it a bash, but unfortunately I can't really copy Louise particularly well in terms of hearing her. I don't think we're in a very good spot today down at Chitwa Dam, but it's kind of the only spot to be at because there isn't very much happening. Now, there's the tiny new hippopotamus baby, which we saw yesterday very briefly. So it's still there with Mum. Mum was not very impressed with us when we arrived. Even though we're very, very far away from her, she still just reminded us who was boss. That baby is so small. Look how tiny it is. So she's just been hanging around in the shallows until it gets strong enough that it can go out towards the deeper water, and also when she feels a little bit more confident to introduce it to the older calves. They'll be very excited to have a new friend on board and will probably play with it. It might be a little bit too rough and then Mom will get upset. So she will keep away for a little while, a couple of days to a few weeks, just until the little one, like I said, gets confident in the water. All singing now. It's always such an epic sound to hear. That's really nice. And then there's also, Craig, I don't know if you can get them, there's a couple of little hippos just playing off in the distance. I don't know, I just heard it. Did you hear that radio sound? Was that you? I don't know why I heard radio and it went 2. I don't know if I've somehow changed channel or something. I'm not really sure. Louise, I can't hear what you're saying. What did you just say? The little hippo, though, just out of the water. Nibbling on who knows what. I don't really see anything there. What are you eating? I don't know if it's got a stick or something that's found. There's nothing growing on the edge of the banks, that's for sure. I don't know how tasty it was. Looks like it's trying to wash it down with something now. And back into the water it goes. Chubby little monster. So cute. There's a whole lot of them though, all just hanging around here. That looks like where all the youngsters are. They're playing with one another. There goes another one. The submarine move, or the crocodile, where you just try and keep your eyes above the water. You can see how shallow it is there, because that's not a particularly big hippopotamus. It's really small, in fact. I'm going to play, I think. It's getting to that time of the day now where they're going to start getting active and then leaving the dam. It's nice and cold. They'll probably leave the water a little bit earlier than they normally do. And you're just playing in the shallow waters. Brave enough not to have to worry about being at Mom's side all the time. There's a bit of a deep spot there. It must be so much fun. That just reminds me of my brother and our friends when we'd go to the beach and we'd play in sort of the lagoons and run around and swim from one end to the other and chase one another. And then you'd be running, and the next minute there would be a bit of a depression and you'd fall in the water. It was always quite funny. Are we still live, Craig? Do you know? Have you heard anything? I haven't heard nothing, but I also don't know if we have comms. I don't know if we've got the radio comms. Comms test, comms test. No, I don't think I've got signal or comms. Let me reposition.
Well, it sounds like Taylor's still struggling with her comms a little bit, and she's still kind of struggling to hear what's going on. But we've just positioned a little bit better because we wanted to try and see Tandy's face a little bit more. But unfortunately, she kind of stood up because Columba's being a little hooligan and just looked up and down the whole time, and it was making it quite tricky for, you know, Tandy to actually sleep nicely. And so that's why we've got this kind of view of her backside at the moment. But there's a beautiful, beautiful sun kind of that's hopefully going to set just behind them. It's really quite special to see the two of them kind of silhouetted against the sunshine or against the sort of sunset that's going to take place. And so I think that's going to be very pretty. Isn't that cool? If only Columba's tail was hanging the other way, and we got the silhouette of the two tails hanging as well. There's a little bit of the tail, but it would be nice to have both tails kind of hanging the same as Tandy's. Very cool to see, and the two of them just kind of taking it easy while there's a little bit of color in the background. Isn't that pretty? It's what you want to see, really. If you ever want to view leopards, that's the kind of leopard sighting you want to have, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely beautiful seeing these two sitting the way that they are. It's a pity that the cloud didn't just separate slightly and that sun came out, because that whole sky would have gone gold, and even the cats themselves would have been. In the meantime, though, maybe it will dip down a little bit more and we'll kind of see a bit more light. And so while we wait, let's see how Steve has been doing up in the Mara.
Just in time. We've almost lost the sun on the horizon as it descends behind the Ololola range. What a beautiful afternoon it is out here. Wildebeest are shouting all over the plains. Some zebra calling. I've been scanning my binoculars to see if we can find any of the large cats moving about. No sign of any cheetah. After discussion last night with one of the guides who knows his way around and knows the cheetah very well, he seems to think that they're all in Tanzania. Well, they do come and go. We have been trying. Look at all of the wildebeest in the open there. So many. It does boggle the mind. It's just one of the few places that they are accumulating in. As James continues to scan, we'll get to another enormous herd. And they're also enjoying the last rays of the sunlight. As we know, once darkness descends, there we go, and there's some more. As darkness descends, the night becomes the predator's domain. But with so many wildebeest, it really is just I suppose you're quite unlucky if it's you that gets chosen against the others. If they're 1.3 million wildebeest, well, then you've pretty much got a 1.3 million in one chance of it being you. Fantastic, Trish. Enjoy your coffee. I decided not to bring coffee out this afternoon as I drank too much coffee yesterday in the evening and I couldn't get to sleep, and that was quite frustrating. I used to be able to drink lots of coffee in the evening, but now I'm finding my body isn't digesting it or dealing with it, and then the caffeine's keeping me up. I used to be able to drink a double espresso and climb into my bed. Times have changed. Body tolerance is not there anymore. Beautiful scenes though of the wildebeest, and one final look, James, at the horizon with the last rays of the sun, as everybody out there, I'm sure, is enjoying the scenes in front of them. A moment of reflection. A very still evening, very gentle breeze. Lots of rain falling on the escarpment side. We seem to be clear of it at the moment. You just bypassed it there with the camera. You saw some rain falling in the distance. You have to bless the rains down in Africa. I'm sure we all know what song that comes from. Stunning. Stunning, stunning vistas. I think I'm ruined for life. I can never go anywhere again in my life and find myself in such a wide open expanse. There are places in Kruger Park that can have similar sort of feelings, but there's nothing quite like this. Nothing quite like this at all. Okay, well, I think Tristan is also watching the sun go down. Let's go and see how his quiet moment is going.
Well, it's as beautiful as you could ever imagine, because the sun is popping out just like we had hoped, and so we kind of just have it coming out. Thandi is kind of sitting perfectly for us at this stage, and so everything is kind of falling into place as we speak, which is quite wonderful. I'm quite impressed with how everything is going to turn out, and hopefully we're going to see a beautiful, beautiful sunset coming our way. That's what I'm hoping. It obviously could be a little tricky from a kind of cloud point of view. I think the cloud might foil us slightly, but we're definitely going to try and see if we can get it right. I think the cloud might be a little too far to the left to give us the real kind of coloration that we want. We wanted nice deep color, but we also wanted, you know, to have a bit of sunshine kind of poking out, so we'll have to just see how it goes, but we'll get it right, hopefully. Hopefully we'll get something cool out of it. It looks like we should get at least a decent enough kind of view. And poor Thandi doesn't know where she wants to sit now, because her daughter has taken her sleeping spot. So she's trying to figure out where she can lie down. Look, she's kind of had her face right where her daughter's bum is, and her daughter just took over completely and has pretty much just done what daughters are supposed to do, or any youthful child does best, and just kind of makes mom shift out of the way so that she can be where she wants to. So quite funny just to kind of see how little Kalamba is with mom. She's still got that kind of youthfulness to her that makes her sometimes do these kind of things. But that's very, very cool. Look at that. One cat above another. It's like a little stack of cats. I think Thandi's going to come down, I think. She's had enough. She's also investigating what's inside the broken tree. Thandi, you going to come down, girl? Yes, she's going to come down. She's had enough of being stuck up there and kind of moving around, and so she's going to make her way to the bottom. And there she goes. She lands with a bit of a thud. I'm impressed, though, that no hyenas have arrived. It's just Thandi that is here. So yes, indeed, Louise, a 10 out of 10 for grace and poise from a ever sort of mobile Thandi. She's done very, very well to kind of get in and out of that tree without really sort of showing too much sign that she's getting slightly older and a little bit kind of less agile than she used to be. But I mustn't let her hear me say that. That's why I'm whispering, because otherwise she'll growl at me. Well, that is a given, Louise. I think Hosana definitely could learn a thing or two from Miss Thandi, because, well, we know that our favorite cat, as much as he is very good at many things, he is not the best when it comes to being sort of, well, what would you call it? Agile is probably the best word for it. So he's unfortunately got a little bit of his kind of dad's clumsiness at times and doesn't quite get things quite right, but he'll get there eventually. He's still young, he'll learn. Thandi's had 12 years of practice, and poor Hosana has only had 2. Well, over 2, I suppose, closer to 3 now. It's quite something, though, isn't that? I think it's very, very, very pretty sighting. I think we've been spoilt this afternoon by having one of those magical leopard, Sabi Sands leopard sightings. We've had a bit of everything today, which has really kind of made it quite nice. We've had not only the 2 of them walking, we've had them on the kill feeding, up the tree, down the tree, bit of interaction. So it's been very, 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 very pleasant, and the way that I like to spend my day, if I'm honest. This is how I like to kind of go about things, especially like I was saying earlier on the kids drive. It is Animal Day today, and so, you know, one must celebrate all things animal, and so this seems like a fairly good way to go about it. Lorena, you say we have been very spoiled today. I agree. I mean, not only from Tandi and Kalamba point of view, but to have a sighting of Shadulu. I can't even remember the last time we saw Shadulu. I haven't seen Shadulu since I went to Kenya. So before I went to Kenya was the last time I saw her, which is a long, long time ago. So we haven't been seeing much of her recently, which is a bit of a shame. So it's nice that we kind of had her today. A sighting of the prince, even if it's far, is always very, very, very nice. And so it's been a very good afternoon, considering this morning's dire state of affairs, where Taylor and I drove around and didn't see very much at all, and kind of got rained on and felt as though things were never going to ever improve. I think we've done very well considering all of those kind of parts of our day. So it's been very good, and Taylor obviously has done a good job in finding the two down south, and then, you know, Tandi and Kalamba have delivered as well, which has been very pleasant. So it's been a good day all round, I think. There's only those naughty wild dogs that didn't show up that deserve a little bit of a hard time, but we'll get to them at some point. I'm hoping that they kind of show up in the next couple of days somewhere around the property. They generally do these kind of things. This kind of weather is wild dog weather. Overcast grey skies is always good for wild dogs. I don't know why it is, but a lot of the trackers you speak to, if you say to them, you know, if they see this kind of weather, they'll say wild dogs kind of weather. So it's an interesting concept, and why it happens I'm not quite sure, but that seems to be more often than not you find wild dogs on overcast days, which is interesting to me anyway. So we'll see whether or not maybe tomorrow, if it's still overcast, the doggies come out to play and we actually get to see them a little bit more than what, well, we didn't see them at all today, but maybe we get to see them tomorrow actually paying attention to us and cooperating. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Now I want to know from all of you, actually, you guys can let me know, what is your... Hold on. Before I do that, I'm going to just answer this question first, and then I'll get into what I wanted to ask all of you. So, Kruger Guy, what animal have I not yet seen that I want to? Kruger Guy, there's many. So, jaguar, tigers, snow leopard, clouded leopard, Ethiopian wolf, what else? Those are just to name a few. I would really, really like to spend a little bit more time in other parts, or mountain lions would be nice, bison, wolves, orangutans, what else, mountain gorillas, since I've just seen the western lowlands, bongos, there's so many animals out there, giant river otter in the Pantanal. And I know one or two of you that are viewers have recently been to the Pantanal. There's actually been quite a few lately that have been into the Pantanal and have seen the most incredible stuff. And I'm very, very jealous of all of you that have been there, because I would love to go and see that. And I was supposed to go to the jaguars this year, but I had to cancel it, I'm afraid, because of the Gauntlet series. So because the Gauntlet was kind of running over August period, I couldn't actually go in the end, and so we had to kind of cancel the trip there. So I have to plan that one again and try and do that, and still need to do tigers. Then there's also the black leopards of Kabini National Park in India that I really want to go and see, so we'll try and kind of figure that out at some point. So there's lots and lots of animals. You know, the world is a big place, and there are many species of animal that I would love to spend time around, and so hopefully one day I'll get it right and get to all of these species that I want to see. Bears, actually, polar bears. I almost forgot about those. Don't want to forget about polar bears. Lots of different seal species that I want to go and see. So yeah, the list is long. Funny enough, the one place that I've never really kind of been that intrigued by, which is strange because I suppose there are lots of incredible animals there, is Australia. So I know Australia has insanely good animals, and there's lots of very unique species there that you don't really get anywhere else. But for some reason, there's nothing really that kind of makes me want to go there right now. You know, there's so many other places that I would want to go before I went there. And I'm sorry if you live in Australia and I know you've got amazing wildlife, and I agree that you do. But you know, there's nothing really kind of that I want to see just yet that lives in Australia. Kangaroos are cool, and you know, koala bears and Tasmanian devils and wombats and the likes are cool, but I think there's other things that I would like to see before I get to all of those. So I'm not sure, but that was what I was going to pose to all of you, is what animal would you like to see, given that it's World Animal Day, as a animal for you. But in the meantime, let's send you across to Steve and see what he thinks for his animals, and which animals he would like to see in his life.
Just turning around, we're heading back in that direction. We've come to the end of the road that we wanted to go down. Now we're going to slowly start heading back. There was no sign of any lion or cheetah, unfortunately, but I believe there's a discussion going around about what animals we'd like to see. Well, in South Africa, I'd like to see a zorilla, which is a striped polecat. I'd like to see an aardwolf, I haven't seen before. But then after hearing Tristan's list, I realized he was going out there, and obviously a snow leopard, a polar bear in the wild would be magical. I'd like to swim with a killer whale. I don't want to swim with a killer whale. I wouldn't mind seeing a killer whale in the wild, but with a whale shark, that would be wonderful. Obviously gorillas and chimpanzees in the wild are on the list, and who does not want to see a tiger in the wild, as well as jaguar? The list can go on and on. Kruger guy, you asked these questions to animal lovers. We want to see them all. I wouldn't also mind seeing a grizzly bear in the wild, or some wild roaming bison. So still lots to do, I believe. Lots and lots to do. We'll start close to home, and hopefully one day we'll keep ticking them off as we go. I hope that answers it. Wild wolves. I'm coming to Yellowstone one day. We'll get there, get some grizzlies and wolves at the same time. That would be super cool. Minamu, the roads have kind of numbers. They have numbers almost similar to the way Kruger names their roads, like the S11 and the S100 and that sort of thing. But when you drive around, they don't have numbers on them. They don't have numbers on them. You just see it says this way to this gate, and this way to Serena, and this way to that gate. There's no really demarcated things. But you know, with the landscape and the Olalola mountain range off that side, navigating is not too difficult. So if you go down a road and having a look at the map, you realize you may be veering a bit off that way, then you just keep going that way. It's not like the Kruger or Djuma where, well, the Kruger's very well signposted, very easy to get around. It's just times and distances. You can get lost with regards to taking the wrong road and then ending up going a little bit too far. Out here, we bring in a Askari with us, so most people are ready. Let's check the time. Most people should already be back at their camp. So being out a bit late can be tricky if you're getting lost. So we've got an Askari, so it's fine. We can get a little bit disorientated from time to time, and I'm already figuring it out. It's not too difficult with the landscape. Makes it a little bit easier to find our way around. So far so good. So far so good. It's getting a little bit dark though, so the spotlight will be out in a moment. Connie, as a guide, we've got this kind of unwritten rule that we'll never admit that we lost. We're just temporarily disorientated, and I've been temporarily disorientated many times in my life, but never to the point where I've never found my way back. So you're just out of sorts for a little while, and then, oh, here we are, let's keep going. But the worst time to navigate is when it's overcast like this. There's no sky, you can't see the clouds. If you're in a horizonless area where the vegetation, you can't see a mountain range like that, well, you can get yourself quite caught up in everything. And that has happened to me a couple times in the Kruger. Following lions, you're in the block and you're in the circle, and lions don't go straight, they move. and your heart, you sort of get your stomach in your mouth for a bit when you think you're not going to find your way out, but just drive straight and you will eventually come out of somewhere. So only a couple times, but never too bad. The best thing when you do get temporarily disorientated, there's something that everyone should bear in mind, is stop, take a deep breath, figure out what's going on. Do you have some water? Do you have some supplies? Realize that it's not that much of a stress if you are a little bit lost, and then just breathe. Don't just keep driving and getting more and more stuck and lost. Stop and just reconsider everything that's going on. Where did I come from? What's the time? Do I have cell phone signal? And then, you know, if you don't have water, cell phone signal, or any of that, well then maybe you can start panicking. Never panic, never panic. You'll always be fine. The worst thing you can do is panic. If you get lost, you'll make it out eventually. I've had people in the Kruger getting lost and spending the night in the bush because their car broke down, and that's not very nice. No one finds you because you're out there in the wilderness and you have to sleep there. I think that's quite a magical thing. I'm going to break down more often. And anyway, I think the sun is set with us. I'm not sure how far on the horizon it is in South Africa. Let's go and see. Oh, hang on, we've got a jackal. James Richard, this is for you, sir. Jackal in the road. I know James loves his jackal. Sorry, I know that people enjoy jackal. He's just here on the right-hand side. There he goes, trotting away. In the infrared spectrum. Across the road it goes. And just like that, it's gone. Fantastic. Well, that was the way it is with jackal. They come and they go and they disappear again. But we got it for you. Thank you, James. I know you're going to be very excited about that. But back on down to South Africa.
Right, now I believe Tristan and Steve have both answered the question from Kruger Guy about what animals they haven't seen yet but would like to. Now, man, there's so many different creatures. I'd love to go and see the forest buffalo and forest elephants like Tristan is just going to do now. I'd also like to see an okapi, which looks like, it's an animal that kind of looks like a zebra crossed with a giraffe. That would be quite cool. I've never seen a pangolin, so I need to see one of those. I mean, there's a variety of rodent species that I need to sort of still cover. So maybe a good sign. No, maybe they're just watching from the boundary. Sorry. Of course, tigers, jaguars. I'd like to see caiman. You know, there's so many different animals. What about a capoeira? Oh, that'd be epic. To see the largest rodent in the world. So I'd like to see all of those different animals. I do see a car on the boundary, but it might just be a vehicle that can't traverse. I'm just going up and down, waiting for one of the leopards to come back across again. Whether they will, I'm not so sure. See if we can stop here. It looks like somebody's spotlighting the kill, which should work for us. Go a little bit further forward. Don't go more forward? We'll see what it's like here. And basically we'll be looking right at the top of the Marula in the very far distance. So there we go. I think that's Hosana up there. And you can see the kill just underneath him. And I don't know where Shidulu is. I'm sure she's just lurking around there. Perhaps she'll become brave a little later. But so far, no sign of entering Djuma yet. Petru, I don't know. I actually don't think I know enough about Shidulu and her habits and to be able to answer that. So Petru was asking if Shidulu has completely shifted out of elephant plains. I don't think so. Remember, leopards just walk around and they can have rather large territory. So I think she was just on a bit of a walkabout and happened to be this side. I think predominantly they're still seeing her in the far west. She's just ventured a little bit further over to the east and to the north. She pops into Djuma every now and then too. So this isn't anything out of the ordinary for Shidulu in my opinion. But again, I haven't really spent much time with her at all. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen her since 2016. And it was a really nice sighting. Like I said, she's a beautiful girl. She's so big. What a good size for a leopard. Well, that's awesome. Okay, I think we shall carry on because obviously this is exceptionally far away. As you can see, we can't get any closer. So we will carry on until somebody says something about these cats perhaps coming this way around. Right. Where are we going to go next? I haven't quite decided just yet what our next move is. Maybe we'll go this way. We'll see. Right, but leopards that are much closer and easier to see are Thandi and Tlalamba with Tristan.
Indeed, Thandi and Tlalamba are much easier to see and closer than what Hosana would be. And, well, they're basically just taking it very easy. Not much has changed. Thandi's just had a bit of a snooze. Tlalamba is sitting up in the tree doing her usual Tlalamba thing, which is basically just having a bit of a rest and feeding every now and then, and kind of generally up to no good up in the top of the tree. The poor Dika has been moved around and shifted a few times, but it seems as though Tlalamba has kind of put it into a spot that she's happy with now and is going to town on the back of the legs. But given it's World Animal Day, I thought, well, you know, how would we celebrate World Animal Day? And so I decided that I should maybe try and join the leopard craze. And so I've got some glowing leopard ears that were given to me by Emma. Emma said that I had to wear these Mickey Mouse ears for World Animal Day. And so I also got a whole bunch of leopard duct tape from Sheila. So thank you, Sheila. And it's for my jacket mostly, but I'll get to that eventually. But so I decided that I'd decorate these leopard ears, and I put them on just now. And you see they even have little lights that kind of go, and so they're quite snazzy leopard ears. And Thandi is not convinced by these. She took one look at it just now and kind of looked at me and almost shook her head as if to say, what are you doing? And then turned away. So she's not convinced by my leopard ears. They're a bit rough around the edges. I haven't taped them very well, but I feel like it does okay, and I like the little glowing lights. And so these are my leopard ears for World Animal Day. Louise, thank you. Thank you that you think that I look dapper. I'm trying very hard to look like I'm going to... I don't know what. I'm just not sure that these are my style, but we'll drive around with them for the remainder of the evening, given that, you know, they have lights, and so it will be quite nice to have my little leopard lights going as I drive around. I unfortunately haven't finished taping them on both sides, so I'll need to tape the back sides for when we actually got the driving action going on. But for now, you'll just get the kind of front end of it. So it's typical hooliganism that goes on. Taylor said that I should actually wear these. It was Taylor's fault. I blame Taylor for the fact that I'm wearing these, and I'm disappointed that Taylor didn't dress up for our evening of International Animal Day, so she'll have to come up with a dress code of some sort by the end of drive. So she's going to have to be creative and find something. I'm sure Taylor will. Taylor's normally very good with whipping out things from nowhere. She'll make little bush hats and all kinds of things, so I'm pretty sure she can come up with something at some point. And I also need to... Taylor's dared me to try and kind of somehow get a ponytail, because I always imitate Taylor when she drives, because Taylor has this motion where she kind of flicks her ponytail, and she says that she doesn't do it, and so she says that she needs me to show her. So I'm going to have to find a ponytail somewhere. I'll make one maybe out of grass or something, and I'll show you exactly what Taylor does as she drives. A lot of you won't see it because she doesn't do it that much when she's live, but when she's off air, if you watch an FC, and Louise will know exactly what I'm talking about, there's the Taylor ponytail flick that she does before every link to make sure that the hair is perfect, because when one's out here, the hair must be absolutely perfect. If you're a lady, you can't have wind-swept blonde locks that are out of place, and so Taylor does her hair before every link, apparently. That's what Louise is telling me, and the little ponytail flick. So we'll have to show you what she does, because she says that she doesn't do it, and so it's going to be now a game of who said what. Now it is starting to get dark. Unfortunately, this light is starting to disappear fairly soon, so we're going to have to probably shift into our infrared at some point. So we don't need to do it just yet, but it'll be quite soon we'll go into infrared, which will be a bit of a pity because I've thoroughly enjoyed the kind of light that we've had this evening, and it's been quite special. Now there's a view of little Tlalamba is just looking out over the east. Granted, well, that's a long list. Now I've got to remember. So you had platypus, tigers. What was the other one? Wild dogs. What else was there, Louise? Snow leopard. red pandas. That is, yeah, there's a good list there. I like that list. That's very good. I've luckily seen the wild dog part of that list, but there's a lot on there that I would like to see as well. The red pandas are very, very cool. I agree with you. I would also, snow leopard is probably my #1 animal that I would want to go and see. It's just so tricky to get there, and it's obviously very, very expensive to get out to the snow leopards. But that is one animal that, if I could see any animal and only that animal tomorrow, it would be a snow leopard. That's where I would probably potentially go and kind of have a look and try and see if I can find that. Jaguars and tigers are very close to polar bears, but snow leopard is that kind of mystical creature, and people that know me well will know that's the animal that I've tried to go and see. And funny enough, actually, a few years ago, I was actually going to go with Adam, who I just went to Congo with. The two of us were going to go and see snow leopard together, but then due to various kind of circumstances, neither of us could actually make it, and so we didn't get to go. So that's something that we do need to do at some point. Very, very difficult, like I say, to find them, and it's not something you can get right that often, but it would be probably my #1 animal if I had to go and see an animal tomorrow. Lots of places to go, so little time though, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll kind of get to see most of them. It's the difficult part is that things, are going to start disappearing, and you think of things like polar bears. It's not that much longer until their situation is quite dire, so can't leave these things too long, I'm afraid, and it's a bit sad when you think of it. Now Tandy, who has eaten a little bit, could really do with more food. You can see she's a bit kind of sucked in around the hip area, so you need to get up there and eat it before your daughter finishes everything, because at this rate she is going to climb in to everything and finish it up. Right, now while we sit with these two and see what they do and whether or not sausage version 1 arrives and completes the trifecta of teas, let's send you back across to Taylor and see if she's going to try and build us a outfit for her International Animal Day.
Wait, are you suggesting that this is Tingana? Do you think so? Because the way that this cat is behaving, it doesn't seem... Is it Tingana? No, it's not. I don't know who this leopard is, but this leopard is very skittish. I'm parked very far away. When I initially saw it, when you just linked away from me, I ended up turning around, and as I turned around, I could see on the other side of the termite mound, and there was this leopard that was sitting here. I don't know who this is. It doesn't look like Tingana, unless I'm going crazy, and all of a sudden this cat is unnecessarily skittish. Look. See, look at the behavior. I don't know. Can't see his smiley face yet. But I could be going crazy. I'm not going to move and follow this cat through the bushes either, because he is very, very skittish. It's definitely a male. Someone please help me, #SafariLive, because I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know if I've seen this cat before. It doesn't look like Tingana to me. I don't know why. We'll wait for the... No, I think it's... is it not Mfakazi? Here he goes. Oh, has he got a weird eye? Okay, interesting. I don't know who this is, but I'll let the leopard experts, who are very good at identifying, just help us out. Both Lou and I are not convinced that this is Tingana. Also, Tingana's got quite a large dewlap. Interesting. Now, I wasn't here when you guys saw a leopard by the name of Kwatile, so I don't know what he looks like, but we're going to try and follow him. We'll go up a little bit further. He's walking on the road now towards Treehouse Dam. Very exciting. So I don't know if any of you can help us out, and we can try and figure out who he is. I've never seen this leopard before. I'm fairly convinced of that. I'm just going to stop here, and we'll watch him go down the road again, just because he's... Maybe Kojima. I've completely forgotten. There we go. Well, there's an opportunity. Let's try and get as close as we can so we can have a look at spot patterns and things like that. Oh, yes, he's far away. I don't know if I couldn't get a proper view. Maybe it is Kojima. It would make sense. I've only seen Kojima once for like 10 seconds and then he ran away. But just watching what's going on with those other leopards, but not wanting to hang around. I'm going to keep my lights off as we drive and follow this cat. He's not small, he's big. Where's my spotlight? I want to see some of these footprints, because if they look like lioness tracks, then it's probably Gajima. Let me just check. Yes, Leica on pictures. I don't know, I didn't hear that name. But yes, it has been a crazy day. I've just seen 3 different leopards now. Oh, Pictus. Okay, sorry, my bad. There we go. Here goes this male. Let me see if I can put a bit of light on him. He's just stopped to paw. Ah, missed it. So we'll have to hope that he stops and looks back towards us like he just did. So we're able to get an ID. Ooh. James Richard, very cool. Now, you've said that this is a SafariLive first. We've never seen this male leopard before, but there's been a whole bunch of them roaming around at the moment. Let me catch up to him again. This is quite cool, very nice. So it's not Gajima, it's not Kwatile, it's not Mfokazi, it's not Hukumuri, it's definitely not Tingana. This is an older leopard though. I'm going to go and put him anywhere between about 6 and 8 years old, somewhere around there. I mean, he doesn't look particularly young. He's a big cat. His nose is completely black. Yeah, maybe somewhere around there. But I'm not sure who he is. I also don't know where he's gone. You go off the road. I'm just scanning. And obviously going really slowly. But I can't see him anymore. Did you see where he went, by any chance, Craig? With cats like this, you kind of got to take it easy. Try to keep your distance from them, just till they start to relax. Okay, well, he's vanished into thin air, so we'll keep trying to find him again. If we go to Tristan to see what he thinks.
Well, Taylor, very well done. This new leopards seem to be popping out of trees all over the place over the course of the last few weeks, and Taylor's seen most of them. So Sibui was a new one for SafariLive, and obviously Mfokazi, and now this male and this female that Taylor had mating with Tingana. So it seems as though Taylor's attracting all the newcomers. But that leopard has been around for a while. I'm pretty, if it's the one I'm thinking of, and maybe James, you'll be able to confirm this for me, but it looks or sounds like it could be that male that often gets confused as Kunuma or Quarantine. They keep calling him Kunuma on vessels and Little Gari, and it's not him. It's another male, but he's been around. He was seen a few times at the end of last year, beginning of this year. He's been seen a lot, and he was actually one day was very, very close to Gari Main, and we drove up and down trying to see him, and he just was on the inside of Little Gari, and we couldn't actually get visual of him. But that's the one I think it is, or I'm thinking it might be, and he's been around a lot more than I think people even realize, and once again gets lumped. Yes, there we go. So James is confirming exactly what I was saying, is that he has been confused with Hukumuri, Quarantine, and Kunuma in the past, but it's not him. It's an unknown male. He doesn't have a name. No one knows where he's come from, but he has been around a lot more than I think that we even know, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that was involved with Sibui's cubs kind of altercation. Everyone says Mfokazi because, well, Mfokazi gets seen, but what always happens with skittish leopards is they always get lumped as the same individual, yet we know that they're not. We know that Mfokazi, Gajima, this male are all different. They are not the same leopards, yet they all get called the same thing regularly. So, you know, it's difficult to know which one it was, but I suspect, given where that leopard hangs around, is that it was more likely him than it was Mfokazi, given that Mfokazi is normally to the north, and that male is often seen, like I say, on Little Gari and vessels where Sibui spends a lot of her time. But amazing to see anyway, and so well done, Taylor. Always nice to see a different leopard, and I think Taylor's probably seen more leopards or different leopards this year than I have at this stage, which is quite something. So she's doing super well, which is amazing, and I'm glad that she's had a good afternoon and seen a new individual. Right, well, I can actually see Taylor's light from here, so hopefully that new male doesn't head in this direction. And while we kind of see what takes place with our two beautiful teas, let's send you back across to Steve.
Sorry, folks. It just took off. It was an owl, and I'm not sure what species it was. It was sitting there on the ground, possibly had a rodent, or maybe it was eating termites. I'm not 100% sure. It wasn't a barn owl. Possibly could have been a grass owl. I'm going to have to double check in my book and see exactly what owls of the earless sort occur up here. It's kind of beigeish in colour, not as pink as a barn owl, but not dark like a grass owl. So anyway, new leopards on Djuma. This is just always fantastic. So big male leopard, I believe. I was thinking maybe when James Richard said it's been on the show before, maybe it was that young Ishmael Kwatile that had come through, but James would have known his name. But interesting enough, interesting. If Tristan doesn't know who he is, well then, oh, there we go. The owl is back again. Oh, okay. Did you say, sorry, just reversing. Okay, he's been around, but we haven't seen him. Oh, the owl is gone again. Sorry, folks. This owl does not want to stay put, but being in the open like this, I'm going to assume it's possibly some form of grass owl. I need to just double check what owls we get up here in the Mara. I'll be able to go through that in my app in a little while. But we are bumbling along. Nothing much to report. That jackal was very cool to see. No lions. Still lots of wildebeest and zebra moving through. And a very bumpy road. I do apologize. James is holding on very tightly to the lights that often fall. Well, last night was getting displaced because of this very bumpy road. So I do apologize in advance, folks, for the rattling that's going on. This road needs a little bit of a grade, I would say. A bit of moisture and a flattening would make it very comfortable. Okay, well, we weren't able to identify that male leopard. I'm not sure if Taylor has still got him in her sights, but she's waiting at a watering hole.
I don't, but I wanted to show you a quick photo that I got of Shidulu, which I thought was quite funny. Don't you think that's great advertising for these lodges? This is incredible. Don't you think that's awesome? I can't wait to post that. That's going to be a goodie. Right, let's carry on. I was hoping that this unknown male leopard was going to arrive here at the dam, but unfortunately, I mean, we could be waiting here for quite some time. It's going to shine my spotlight. And he's quite skittish, so, you know, he might even just wait for us. You can see there isn't anything coming through just yet. I'm also checking on the other camera, but no. Nothing just yet. Like I said, he's probably going to just take his time coming on through here. Okay, right, let's carry on. Right. I don't know if our luck is going to get any better than that. But interesting to find out who exactly this boy is and where he's come from. I mean, obviously we're just kind of guessing as to who he is and how old he is. Sorry, Lou, please can you repeat that first part of the question? Sorry, I didn't quite get that. Ah, there we go. Sorry. What does it say? My name, boy. Interesting handle. Anyways, you've asked if that leopard is in Tingana's territory. Sorry, Louise is mumbling all sorts of things in my ear and then I can't concentrate. Anyways, so yes, he is in Tingana's territory, 100%, but I don't know where Tingana is. He came from that area that male is sort of was walking in, so Tingana could have just made a kill somewhere because I didn't see any of his tracks, but they also could have been washed away by the rain. That's definitely a possibility. So yeah, I think there'll be a bit of trouble if Tingana goes on another patrol and picks up that there's another male here. I think he'll be fine. If he starts to soar, there might be a bit of a problem, but if Tingana's on a kill and he's not moving around so much, he could get away with moving through his territory as long as he stayed sort of quiet about it. Yes, Tingana will eventually pick up on his scent, because he did scent mark down the one road, down that southern road to Treehouse Dam, but he won't. Oh, what's that? White-tailed mongoose. There, off to the right. It's just behind that tree now. But there was a white-tailed mongoose just back there. There it goes. It's literally just behind the tree. You can see the tip of its tail on the left. And you get some more lower. Oh, I've forgotten which tree it is now. He should come out just off to the right. Didn't look too terrified. Wasn't running away. Let's just see if he... I can see him moving around. Craig, basically behind those branches there. You can just see in between all those... I think it's a bush willow that's growing there. There it goes, off to the right. And it is a white-tailed mongoose. The nocturnal species of mongoose. That's the first one I've seen in a very, very long time here in South Africa. I used to see them quite a bit in the Mara. I'm trying to give it a bit extra light, but it's hard to kind of make out. That grass is a bit taller. You just see the tapetum flash on the eye every now and then, having a bit of a scratch. A little bit of a groom as well. It's really cool to see. Obviously out looking for things. I think it was hoping that with a bit of rain that we've had, that maybe some beetles and things have had their little burrows flooded, and it will find some of them on the road. That was nice. Not the greatest view, unfortunately, but a good sighting of one of our nocturnal creatures nonetheless. Right, what next? What are we going to see next? Maybe a genet would be good. But we'll keep on searching. Now, Tristan has spent the entire day with leopards, I suppose, as we have too. And now he's spending some quality time with Tlalamba.
Well, indeed, I am spending quality time with Tlalamba. I've had the best time just kind of sitting with her. I always enjoy this little cat, and so, you know, we don't get to see her all as that much in these days, and she's been a bit elusive, and so I thought, well, why not, given that we've been looking for her so much and we haven't seen her, why not spend a bit of time in her company and actually enjoy having her around? So I have thoroughly enjoyed my evening with this little one. She's such a special little cat. I find her very, very, very entertaining, and so I'm thoroughly happy with the way that my afternoon has turned out. And so it doesn't matter if, you know, a lot of other people don't want to spend as long with an leopard as luckily, you know, it's given that it's the job that we do, it is nice that we do get to spend as much time as we can with them and be able to spend a lot of kind of hours. And you know, the thing is about her is that we spend so long looking for her that it just feels silly to kind of leave her in when we do find her. And it's not like they haven't been active. They've had so much kind of fun this afternoon kind of watching them go about their business that I don't really think that it's been that boring. Well, hopefully you guys haven't found it boring. Hopefully you've enjoyed kind of spending time with her over the course of the sort of morning, or evening, should I say, not morning. It's an evening at the moment. It's like I say, that you've enjoyed yourselves just as much as I have, kind of being out here with this little one at the moment. But she's still feeding. I don't know how much is going to be left for poor Thandi by the end of this, because she really has eaten a lot already. She's kind of absorbed, I suppose, as much as she possibly can by sitting up there and feeding, and I don't think there must be much space left in that tummy for this little one anymore. She's really kind of gone to town. That poor Daika has kind of been eaten pretty much the back legs, and I suppose there's still something in the stomach, I mean the neck area, the ribs, that can still be eaten, and some of the legs. And so Thandi will have a really good feed, and they will be here in the morning, but then from there I'm not sure what the kind of next story will be. So Brian, they'll already start hunting on their own. You know, I'm pretty sure Tlalamba is already kind of doing her thing and hunting and trying to find food already at this age. You know, the instinct will be to try and kill things like lizards and insects and frogs and all kinds of other things that run around Tlalamba on a daily basis. So I'm pretty sure that she does kind of hunt those things already, but I wonder if she's going to come down. Looks like she is going to come down now. I think she's decided that she's finished for the evening and has decided that no more will she feed. Are you going to go into your little hole again, Tlalamba? It looks like you are. And so she already would be probably hunting, although I would imagine that really starting to hunt would be when, you know, Tandi starts to leave her more and more. Then she'll start to really kind of figure it out and figure out exactly how to find food. But she's a busy cat, isn't she? She's always moving and kind of can't find a way. Are you worried about how you're going to get down, little Tlalamba? Your belly is definitely much fuller than it was earlier. So she's definitely kind of fed quite well. Are you going to sit there for a bit? Oh, no, that is not the way to come down, Tlalamba. She is such a clown, this cat. Yes, well done. Eventually she got down. Silly girl. Now she's probably in all likelihood going to go and sit with her mom. Now I've got to get my ears out the way because they're kind of doing their thing. You can see they're busy sort of making a bit of light, and ahead of me is where the two of them are sitting. So let me get my ears out the way. Sorry, Seb, I'm causing havoc here, aren't I, with these ears? So look at that. Isn't that sweet? So now it's very, very, very cool. Shame. She's such a cute little cat. It's quite crazy to think how much time I've spent with her and when she was young and how big she is now. Well, so yes, I mean, it will be Tandi that will decide it. She'll come into an estrus cycle, and she'll then basically try and push little Tlalamba away, and she'll basically say, right, that's you, you're out of here, you've got to go, my body is telling me that I need to reproduce again. And so then you'll find that Tandi will stop providing meals. She'll start kind of being quite aggressive towards Tlalamba, and it's exactly what she did with Tamba. She just left him for longer and longer periods and just didn't come back to him, and didn't provide food for him. When he tried to go and have food from them, or from her, she used to just kind of chase him away. So that's exactly how it's going to happen with little Tlalamba. She's going to have the same situation happen to her, and it's not going to be, it's never nice when it happens, but it is part and parcel of life out here. If you're a little leopard, this is what happens, is that you will eventually be left by mom, and you will have to go off on your own and do your own thing. So that's basically what will happen, and Tandi will be the one that will force the exit. Tlalamba doesn't want to leave her mom. No leopard cub wants to leave their mom, because ultimately it's food and it's security, and so much easier to rely on mom providing food than to have to get it yourself. So she'll try to stay with mom as much as possible, but you can still see the bond is strong there. I mean, she's grooming, she's brought this cub to the kill, so exactly, it's pretty much like people leaving their parents. Kids will try and stay with their parents for as long as possible to sponge off them until such time as parents say enough, and off you go. So I suppose that is very similar. You're right, Louise. And look at that. A good little clean. I reckon once they've cleaned each other, Tlalamba's going to have a rest, and I think Tandi might hop up into the tree to go and have a bit of a feed and see if she can get her tummy to be nice and full as well. But that's a happy little leopard family right there. Mom and daughter are fed and content together, and no hyenas have arrived, no other leopards so far. So far, so good for these two. Yes, so Ramona, I was just looking at the exact same thing. There is something in the grass behind them. You can just see a little eye glistening in the background. So Seb, if you can go to kind of there, a little bit left of that. So I don't know if yes, there we go. In. What is that now? It is an eye of something. Who knows what though? I mean, I can't make that out on the screen. I don't know, Louise, can you see something on your screen a bit better? Maybe it's a spider. Spider's eyes do reflect. Yeah, difficult. Maybe if it's a mouse, that poor thing must be absolutely petrified right now, because it's got two big cats looming right next to it, and so it's adopting its sit-still strategy, whatever it is, and it's decided it's not going to do anything. There comes Tandi. I think she's going to decide whether or not she's going to go up. Why are you hissing, Tandi? What's wrong? What have you seen? Who's around? Wouldn't it be something if the sausage appeared? Where's my spotlight? I need my spotlight to have a little look around and see what could be making Thandi a little bit grumpy. She's kind of hissing a little bit, so maybe she's somewhere in this area. I mean, sausage might be somewhere in this area. No sign of him anywhere here. Her tail's starting to flick quite a bit as well now, so don't know what it is that's irritated her. Maybe it was Tlalamba lying so close, but that is a tale of irritation rather than happiness. So something has irritated her. Like I say, I'm not sure what exactly it is. What's her face doing? Is she staring, or is she just kind of starting to sleep a little bit? She's kind of starting to go into a nap phase, so I think it was just proximity to Tlalamba. Good, but these two I think are going to have a really proper nap now by the looks of things. I thought Thandi might go up into the tree and go and feed now that Tlalamba was finished, but it seems as though they're going to nap. So I think we're going to leave them here and let them have some peace and quiet to themselves in case things like hyenas come in. I'm going to carry on heading out of this area, and hopefully we will kind of leave them in peace and come back tomorrow morning and try again and see what we get tomorrow morning. Hopefully we will get them still on their kill, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor McCurdy.
Right. So I just got a message actually a moment ago. One of our dear friends, Peter from Nkoro, he just sent me a message saying, or he sent me a video of the Anderson male. And I said, oh, very nice, where's that? Actually not particularly far away either, on Shirley, so it's just kind of a little bit further south from where we are. So that's quite exciting. Nice. Now, I doubt he'd come up this way, but there's a lot of leopards out and about today, and most of them all on kills. So obviously the weather we had last night, and also today. Sorry, everyone is now talking unnecessarily on the radio, including Tristan having fat conversations. Anyways, right, we'll see what else we can find. I don't know. We're coming up onto the open plains behind camp now. There's not really much up here other than normally a couple of impala, sometimes some wildebeest. Crazy legs, perhaps, yes. Hosana might try and stand up to that other male. I think he's fine for now because there's vehicles in the area and that male's not keen on going to have a look as to what's actually happening while the cars are there. But I think once everybody heads back to the lodge, he might eventually head on round. So Hosana will have to be very careful. He'll have to decide if he's going to try and hold on to that kill and fight for it, or if he's just going to let it go. Because if he does fight, he could find himself in a spot of trouble, especially with a male that's a whole lot older and more experienced, and probably definitely bigger than what he is. So he needs to, of course, be very, very careful. And hopefully the lesson he learned from Hukumori a little while ago will still be fresh, and he wouldn't have got too arrogant, because, like I said, he's still a young boy, even though he's big. You see how young he is, with how uncoordinated he still is. He's got a lot of growing to do and a lot of learning. That will, of course, all come with experience. Very quiet up here. There's actually nothing. In fact, I haven't even seen a scrub here tonight. Surprising. And the wind has dropped nicely now, which might mean that the clouds come in and we get another set of rain. It does look like it's getting quite dark and dingy, so that is a possibility. That could definitely happen. Like I said, I wouldn't mind it if it rained tonight and then stopped at about 3 o'clock in the morning. That would be fine. Oh, there isn't really much going on. No owls, no nothing. no, grumpy old man. I've seen my mum. I've seen Bossy Donna. They're around. I'll pop past them at sundowns. We'll see. You'll get to see them at some point. We just didn't have great signal in the areas as to where we were. So maybe tomorrow you'll get to meet them. We will see where they end up going. I don't blame the animals for being out. Yeah, I think that's the case. Magic Dragon Wizard, that the scrub hares are all out hiding somewhere. I think it's also just miserable weather. Everything's cold, so everyone's just hiding under shrubs to try and get some warmth, because there's not much warmth, unfortunately. When you're out in the open, you've seen how fluffed up everybody has been for the day. Even us. Although I didn't have to wrap my blanket around myself. It's not as cold as what it was this morning. This morning was horribly freezing. Very, very, very cold. Maybe Kim. Good idea to keep an eye out on the dam cam always. You never know what might happen there, although the action seems to be a little bit too far away. But that's not to say that everything could end up coming to walk the side. But for now, everything's pretty much south of our traverse, other than Tundi and Tlalamba, which are off to, well, I suppose also to the south. So we will see. I don't know where they're going to go, what's going to happen tonight. Ingahumas, from what I heard, are also somewhere on Little Gowrie, so do keep an eye out. I don't know where the buffalo are. We know the lions like to follow the buffalo. So maybe they'll have to just settle for some wildebeest instead. But we'll see. We shall see in the morning. Anyways, we're all going to go to bed just now. But we'll see you all bright and early tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.